Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the McDonCast, the funnest podcast in town, season
the only podcast around 4 years running. In 4 years, no one else has made a podcast.
That's right. It's amazing that no one's caught on to this format.
It's crazy that we called it the McDonCast, and then for some reason we decided to call the format a podcast.
Well,
That was a weird choice.
we can't name the format the McDonCast.
Why not call it a McDonCast?
The first movie wasn't called Movie,
How do you know?
because it was called Horse Running
it?
for 2 seconds.
I don't think that's what it was called.
No, wasn't the first film that video of a train crashing?
No, it was the video of the horse, but I don't
Well, that
think
was like the first like emotion picture.
that's
but I
the
think
same thing.
I know, but like the first like film that was like longer than 2
Like
seconds.
shown in like a theater?
Yeah,
I don't know. This isn't shown in theaters. Why would we call this?
because this isn't a movie. This is a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Podcasts are available online, or this one is because it's the only one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, guys. Well, welcome back.
Who knew that fake radio show would be so big?
We have so much news. YouTube is getting worse. Movie and TV delays, as expected, with the strike going on.
So much strike stuff happened.
More strike
continuing on.
updates, Taylor Swift updates, Disney updates, and Rotten Tomatoes exposed for their corruption and lies.
Well, technically, it wasn't Rotten Tomatoes doing it.
Well,
It was their bad. It was their lack of policing their system at all that caused this.
Yeah, so if you start up a town and crime is rampant and you don't like hire a sheriff to like make a police, that's kind of on you.
That is not. I
I think it is.
That is a societal issue that it's just too big for me to fix.
Yes, well, if society doesn't do anything to fix it, then that's society's problem.
Sam, it's not on me. I didn't cause the crime.
No, you just directly benefited from the crime and then continued to allow it. Alrighty, well, we'll get into that later. But first,
Anyway, so this is season 4. As you can see, our set is I don't know if
Differently
this
organized.
is definitely better.
definitely different. Stuff is moved
It's
around.
better than our last setup, which had like Wyatt's filthy, dirty
The calendar is on the correct month.
dishes. Yes, and definitely not a 2-year-old
And definitely
calendar.
not from 2 years ago.
I'll get a. Should I even get a 2023 calendar at this point?
We'll just get a
It's already
2024
August.
one whenever we need that.
Well, no, yeah, I'll just get a 2024 one because they always have like the last couple months of 2023.
Yeah, because there's no reason to buy a
what I'll
2023
do.
calendar now. There's like 4 months left in the year.
But yeah, no, sets changed, the graphics have changed on the channel.
The
but the
theme
format
will
has
hopefully
not
change
changed.
eventually if Patrick finishes it.
I commissioned Patrick to make us updated theme for season 4
He's
a
too
month
busy.
ago, and he has not done it at all.
He'll get to it.
So if you heard the new theme in this episode, that's the new theme. If you haven't, it's because Patrick was too lazy.
I tried like just taking the one we have now and like exporting it with like a vintage like sound profile, but it doesn't work because like the instruments that are used are like synthesizers and stuff, which didn't exist then, so it just doesn't sound right.
Patrick, get on that theme.
He'll get to it.
Don't
he
sleep.
might get to it.
Make theme. No
Yeah.
sleep for you. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna of course do our news. We're also gonna talk about Gran Turismo, a film that you and I both saw.
I feel like we're gonna have significantly less to say about
I
Gran
saw
Turismo
it
than
twice.
Ahsoka. Why did you see it twice?
I saw it with you, and then my friends wanted me to see it with them.
Have I mentioned how good of a game Gran Turismo is and how it's so good and amazing
Have
and
I-
the best and most
Sam,
accurate racing simulator
You know what
ever
I love?
made?
It's PlayStation. I just love PlayStation. I love going to my gaming cafe and playing.
I
my
love
PlayStation.
playing Gran Turismo, whichever number is out right now, because it is the most
Six,
such
seven,
accurate game.
Seven?
So accurate, actually, it's more accurate than the real car.
That's right.
That
If you-
happens in the
You don't
movie.
need to drive. Same Gran Turismo.
There's a part in the movie
Gran
where
Turismo
he
drivers-
knows the car better than the real car driver
Gran
because he played the
Turismo
game
drivers are more creative than real world drivers. Remember that part?
That doesn't even make any sense.
No, it
we'll
doesn't.
get into
What
it.
does that mean?
Who knows?
Anyway, we're also going to talk about episodes 3 and 4 of Ahsoka. We talked about episodes 1 and 2 on the last episode. Where
3
now
and
on
4
3
went
and 4.
crazy.
Well, 4 was crazy.
4 went
3
crazy.
was
3
really
was
boring.
just filler.
But we'll get into it.
sorta.
Well, let's start off, Sam, with
Let's
some
get some movie
delays.
and TV delays. Who's
So-
delaying what?
Obviously, a lot of these are because of these are mostly because of the strikes. The biggest, highest profile delay was, of course, Dune Part 2. That was supposed to come out, I believe, on November 17th of this year. It is now going to come out on March 14th.
Because they do need Zendaya's face in order to do that.
Because they realized that their movie is much harder to promote without Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet. Wow, it's almost as if the actors in your films provided an incalculable level of value to their success.
No.
And that paying them would solve this problem.
The CEO obviously generates
You're
most
right.
of
It
the
was
content.
probably David Zaslav, who wasn't even CEO when this movie
David
was made.
Zaslav is what makes Warner Brothers what it is.
That's right. He doesn't just
He
be
writes,
a weirdo and throw out all their profitable
directs,
franchises.
and acts every movie, and does not just delete them for
That's
tax
what they
reasons.
should do. They should have stuck to the date and just sent David Zaslav out on all the press tours.
That actually would have been awesome.
Send David Zaslav on Hot Ones.
Force him to like go do a job.
That would be really funny if he was on Hot Ones. And we just got to watch him suffer eating hot wings.
That would be funny.
If I was Sean Evans, I just wouldn't ask him questions.
Sean Evans is probably so sad.
I would just put the hottest sauce on each single wing and be like, I don't know, that must have been a
I
mistake.
haven't checked in Hot Ones in a while. Is he still interviewing like celebrities, or like have they all like bowed out?
They
during the
banked
strikes?
this season's pretty like in the past, so I don't think they were affected by the strike.
Yeah, but I mean they're always making new stuff. So like I assume at
Well,
some
he
point
also does
it
like
will cause-
musicians and YouTubers, so he'll probably just do
Yeah,
some of
but
those
he's
for a
done.
while.
He's hardly done any YouTubers ever since he like got a bunch of like real celebrities on there.
Well, he can't now.
Yeah, so
They're
he'll
still
probably
pretty
have
good.
to go
I've
back.
seen a couple of recent ones. I can't remember.
I want to
any off the
see
top of my
one
head.
do a Hot Ones where someone else hosts and they interview Sean Evans.
He's done that. Well, it wasn't a
When
Hot
did
Ones,
he-
but he's done interviews.
You
With
know, I want to see him do a Hot
himself.
Ones, but with a different guy, or maybe
See.
even him. Maybe he does both sides.
They did Gal Gadot. She was on the show. Yeah, I mean, they've had like Steph Curry. Let me see if I've.
Well, when did
John
those,
Mulaney
when
one
did
was
those
pretty
come
good.
out though?
This was like in the past couple of weeks. It looks
Okay.
like they're on break right now, and they probably will be for.
Yeah, because
a
they've
little bit
probably
longer.
run out of the whatever. they
Yeah,
had
whatever
stored
ones they
up.
banked. Anyway, so yeah, Dune Part 2 delayed to March 14th, 2024. That date belonged to Godzilla times Kong: The New Empire. That has been pushed back to April 12th, 2024, so a month. The Lord of the Rings: The War for Rohirrim, the animated Lord of the Rings film.
What?
This is an War for Rohirrim,
I've
some
never
made
even
up
heard of that.
fantasy city. This is the Brian Cox animated film. He voices the lead guy in it. That was supposed to come out April 12th. That's now going to come out December 13th, 2024. So that's about a 8-month delay. That was probably going to happen regardless if they had
You
to
know
push it
what's
back
so
8
funny
months.
about them doing this?
What?
If they just like paid them, then like they wouldn't have to push all these back.
Sam, if we pay
They could choose
we'll
to
get
not
to
push
it.
them back.
No, we'll get to what they were saying about that later on. And then we get into some Disney Plus TV series. Echo, your most anticipated thing.
anything.
That thing
but
I
that.
always forget about until I see a news article
Man,
about it.
that sucks if they push that one back. I would remember to watch
That had
it.
a release date in November. That is being pushed back to January.
Oh no! Don't do that.
That is-
no.
Apparently, that show still needs more reshoots, but who knows if that's going to even happen at this point.
Just don't do it.
All 6 episodes of that are still going to drop at once. That one's not going to be weekly. What If Season 2 is expected to release around Christmas of this year?
That one they might as well just drop. Like, what's the reason in delaying that?
Apparently, that goes along.
They don't even do
one of the episodes is a Christmas episode.
They don't even have like celebrity marketing for that one. Like, you could just drop that one at any time.
I mean, yeah, I don't even think I didn't see any press for the first season.
I don't even think they don't have the main.
I'm wondering
cast
why
back,
is it
right?
taking so long?
I think just the animation taking a while.
But they already animated. They finished one episode already.
Yeah, but
How long does it take to make this show?
I mean, the animation was really good.
It's really good, but it's like 9 episodes a season.
Yeah, but animation takes
I don't
a long
understand.
time.
Okay, I don't understand how we were able to get like they were. Remember in like 10 years ago when there was 22 episodes of the Clone Wars out every single year. I don't understand how like that was the standard before, and then we get to streaming, and we're down to like 22 minute 8 episode seasons,
Okay.
and they're like, oh, 4-year gap. It's 4-year gap.
Hold up. Number one, the demand for Clone Wars way higher. People actually like. Clone
Okay,
Wars.
2. That was a Star Wars. This is a Marvel
on,
thing. The
2,
demand is about the
2.
same.
No, not for. No one cares about What If. No one cared.
No,
they watched it when it came out,
Not
and
that
everyone
many
forgot.
Not that many people were watching Clone Wars when it was like airing on cable television either.
No, but it's like it got more popular the more it went on.
That's true, I guess.
But my point is, also, you compare the animation of your average Clone Wars episode to an animation from What If. And now I love Clone Wars. It's a great show. The animation is very good. But What If was like a very, very polished, very high tier level of 3D animation.
It was, but like, okay. I would say yes for early Clone Wars, but you get to like season 5 and 6. That animation's really good.
But season 5,
I would say it's about on the same. And I would honestly say most of Rebels is on the same level of quality.
Okay, Rebels, I don't think so.
It's the same amount of. It's probably not the same amount of detail, but it's about.
I just don't like the art style as much in Rebels.
A lot of people know.
But like season 4 was so well animated because it was the last season on Cartoon Network, so they blew all the whole budget on it. Season 5 was super good looking because it was on Netflix. And Netflix bankrolled the heck out of it.
No, those episodes were complete before it was even on Netflix.
No, they were like this. They were partially complete, but they weren't completely finished.
They were doing touch-ups.
They did a documentary about it, and they were like still in. Like,
well, because there were more episodes that they had started production.
They were still in like the
so those ones were the ones that
untextured like
I
polygons.
know, but there were more episodes that were ready that they didn't finish for that season. So those episodes were like the furthest along of the ones they were already working on.
Yeah. So they had like an extra year of time.
Because like the whole Bad Batch arc had already begun like animatics.
Yeah, they had like storyboards and like untextured polygons walking around, but that was like it.
Still, 2-year gap, right?
But then, the Disney Plus Clone Wars animation was on a totally another level. Like it was way higher than the Clone Wars that had come before.
But what do you think takes more work? 22 episodes a year for a pretty well animated series, or 8 to 9 episodes a year for a really good animated series?
They're probably about the same.
I don't understand how they're finishing like 4 episodes a year on average.
Because it's not a priority.
But what do you mean it's not a priority? This is the only thing they're working on.
When Clone Wars came out, it was the only Star Wars media being produced. What If is a small little insignificant fraction of a greater production empire.
Okay.
So it's not a priority for Marvel. But What If is not on their list of things we have to finish right now.
Okay. But it is the only thing really on the priority list for Marvel Studios animation.
No, they're making that Spider-Man show no one will watch.
But that's never going to come out.
And they're making the zombie show no one will watch.
Well, maybe they're spread a little thin here. Maybe they shouldn't agree with all these.
Maybe that's why they decided
maybe
to
that's
stop
why these are
making
taking
stuff.
forever to make, is because you're having one dude animate 6 shows at once.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what's going on.
Anyway, Agatha. Okay, so remember the Agatha show?
Yeah, they changed the name again.
So it was, when they announced it was House of Harkness. Then they changed the name to Coven of Chaos. It has changed its name again. It is now Darkhold Diaries, which I would say is a worse name.
They said
that is now that was supposed to come out late this year, early next year. That is now going to come out in fall of 2024. They're saying around Halloween, which makes more sense.
I saw somewhere, I don't know if this is true or not, but I saw somewhere where they said that the titles being swapped around is part of the show.
I don't think that's true. I think that's a lie. I think they just can't pick one.
Okay, but like they have not had this big of a problem picking a
but
title
who
for
is
a
paying
show.
it? Who is paying attention to them switching titles on a show 4 years out?
That's what I'm saying. Like they have no reason to care this much about the title for a show that realistically is going to be the least viewed show of all their Marvel shows.
If this was 2 months out and they kept changing the name as like a bit, that would make sense. But they're like changing the names in press releases. Like that's not a marketing strategy.
I think it could be. I mean, I don't see why not. Again,
I don't think
I would be more skeptical if they had done this with any other Marvel show. This is the only one that has changed
What
titles.
about this fits Agatha?
Because Scarlet Witch is like a reality warping character.
But
it
Agatha
could be part
isn't. She doesn't warp reality. She just does magic.
We don't know what she does because she's in one episode of the Scarlet Witch show where she does nothing and gets blown up by red lasers.
Okay.
So we have no idea what she does.
Hold up. Calm down. Chill. Okay. We know that Scarlet Witch can warp reality because she has chaos magic.
Mm-hmm.
Agatha does not. She just has normal magic.
What about that time where
she can't?
What about that time where she conjured the intro to her own TV show? Remember that?
I don't think that was chaos magic.
I didn't say it was, but she still did it at one point. So we know she has some degree of fourth wall manipulation.
I don't think that. I think they're just like their focus group team can't find a name that makes sense, because what is a House of Harkness?
That's exactly.
And so they just keep changing.
No, that's what. None of those titles actually make any sense.
Well, Darkhold Diaries makes somewhat sense because
Darkhold Diaries is the most competent.
Coven of Chaos makes more sense than House of Heart. They're making more sense as they go, which is why I think they keep changing it. It's just because they can't settle.
Maybe, and it's possible. I'm just saying. I saw somewhere. It might have been just like a random tweet or something, but I saw somewhere that it was like going to be part of the show that they kept changing the title, like that Agatha was like manipulating it.
I think that would be neat if it was like episode, like episode 1.
Like the show changed
the title card,
every
it was
time.
like, yeah, it's like a little magic thing. Maybe that's what it'll end up being. But I'm just like, as a marketing strategy now, like years before it's even going to come out, when no one even knows it exists.
When is it supposed to come out?
Next year now. It's supposed to be around Halloween, which is a fitting date for it. That's where it should have been planned to come out this whole time.
Where was it originally supposed to come out?
Like January of next year, or like December of this year.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Presumably because What If moved into the Christmas date. I'm presuming that was when Agatha was supposed to come out.
I think
Agatha was finished shooting, and then Echo is done. It's just bad, and they needed to reshoot stuff.
Yeah, I assume Echo is probably.
And then X-Men 97 will release in early 2024. This is the X-Men 90s cartoon revival.
That's another thing Marvel Studios Animation.
It's another thing Marvel Studios Animation is working on. According to a couple of leakers on Twitter, some people who have actually been pretty up to date and gotten a lot of stuff right, this is going to be in the What If style.
Why?
Everyone's thinking it's going to be 2D animation like the original cartoon show. But no, apparently it's going to be like that, but in 3D, like the What If style.
With that. I don't care.
It's kind of weird though that you would revive the 90s cartoon and then like
have you
switch
seen the
animation
for the original 90s cartoon?
Well, yeah, because it's from the 90s. It was on a Fox Kids budget.
Do you know why it's so bad?
Every cartoon
no
had bad animation.
Okay, so you haven't seen it.
Are you talking about the later season, like season 5, where there was like a massive...
I'm talking about where they commissioned the animation for an entire season. The animation studio they commissioned gave them the title card only and said, you paid us, all that money you gave us was only for this. And they were like, okay, well, now we're out of money. So they had to hire a secondary animation studio to animate the entire rest of the show on a shoestring budget. And so it was the worst animated cartoon airing at the time. That's what I'm saying. Like, the
most
show
of the show
was
just
not
had
great.
like your average Fox Kids animation. Like most of the like Ninja Turtle, all those shows had terrible animation because they would spend all the money on the first 4 because that was the premiere and it was there to sell the toy line. And then after that, they would just cheap out because the show just needed to keep running. It didn't really matter. That's why those shows had, but like,
because the writing for it is not bad. Like,
they should have brought the 2D animation and just like updated it, modernized it, put it in widescreen, make the lines cleaner, just like update things. I don't understand changing it to 3D, especially since it's obviously such a nostalgia play. I mean, they're calling it X-Men 97.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you're gonna put the year that it's supposed to be like, it's supposed to be like a retro thing from that year, but it's in 3D.
I don't know if I 100% believe that rumor because that just doesn't even make any sense.
I mean, I guess we'll see.
Because again, why would you do that? You just make a new X-Men show.
Maybe because it's like we already have the What If thing up and running. Assumably, that would just be like the MCU show style, and just all their cartoons are like that. Because we know Marvel Zombies is gonna look like that too.
Yeah, but Marvel Zombies, they already made an episode in the What If show,
yeah.
So that makes way more sense to me than this.
I don't know. We'll see. Daredevil, Born Again, Ironheart, and Wonder Man are all delayed indefinitely. Again, due to the strikes. Ironheart, I believe, finished shooting. Wonder Man had just started, and Daredevil was like a couple weeks in.
Wonder Man, they had to stop filming because the strikes.
Yeah, all of these are stopped because of the strikes. This is again mostly because of the strikes, but also Disney is wanting to just slow down how much Marvel and Star Wars content they're putting out in general, and this is kind of like a good excuse to start doing that.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're gonna do with Daredevil because 18 episodes. If they release that weekly. I mean, that's months. I expect them for that one to either cut down on the number of episodes, just generally, or to like Stranger Things season 4 it and release it in parts. So like the first 9 drop once, and then
or
2
you
months
just
later,
use it to float your platform.
Honestly, I think that is the best. I think Netflix kind of figured that out. I think that's the best way, is to split it up into multiple releases,
yeah, but
have it be binge.
I hate that the most. I hate that the most. out
That's
of
the
all
worst one for
release
you?
Schedules. Yeah,
It varies from me show to show.
because it ruins all the pacing of the entire show. It butchers it, makes it
Yeah, I guess
awful.
because you have that giant split.
Because you get all invested in the story for the first 4, 8 episodes, whatever it is. Then there's like a 4-month gap where you completely forget everything that happened. And then the next, 8 episodes drop. You pick off in the middle. You're like, what is even going on? I forgot. Oh, this guy's over here. Wait, he's dead.
I think it varies from series to series. I think if you're a super serialized show like Ahsoka would work better all 8 episodes at once.
Yeah, because it's basically
You just want to go through the story, and it helps cloud over the bits that aren't as good because you move on to the next thing and forget about it.
Yeah, you don't have as much time to focus on the little problems.
But a show like Poker Face on Peacock, like that should air weekly.
No one
It's
has
like a
seen
mystery
Poker
of the
Face on
week.
Peacock.
Like
Why do you use that as an example? No one has
because
seen
I was
that.
just because I recently watched it.
Use
That's
a better example.
it's
that
an
people might
episodic
know.
show that came to mind, Sam.
Give a better example. No one has seen that.
Why do you immediately yell at me after I say anything?
No one has seen that show. If you're gonna use an example, use one people know.
I don't know what airs. What's on TV? Only
Superman
Murders in the
was
Building,
week to week.
like Ted Lasso, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff where it's self-contained episode to episode, or at least like mostly self-contained. Nothing is self-contained anymore.
Oh, I forgot to. Yeah, Superman also finished this week. What? Superman.
Oh, Did you watch that?
Yeah, it was
Were you
good.
watching that?
Yeah, it was good. I liked it.
I see a lot of people complaining about it.
I thought it was really good. I liked it a lot.
I think it's funny. I think it's just Twitter being Twitter. It's the fact that they overanalyze shows that are obviously meant for like 9-year-olds. And I'm like, guys, half the time this stuff is intentionally dumbed down.
No, like okay, it was very very simple, but the parts of it where they did sort of get a little bit deeper,
Everything
I thought
they
were
do
really
works.
cool.
Yeah,
like
I
I
thought
thought
it was
the
really
League
good.
of Lanes was a cool idea. I mean, we've kind of seen it before in other stuff, but
I thought they did the Lois Lane Superman relationship really well.
yeah, that was probably the most believable Superman Lois Lane relationship. And then I like what they did with the Kryptonians. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was cool. I saw some people saying that was Brainiac at the very end.
I think it could be.
I think it's Zod. He has like a Z shape on his
It's
chin.
probably
It's gotta be Zod.
But the thing is, he's also really weirdly shaped. He's like a big ball.
But they're all wearing like weird armor.
Yeah, I think it's most likely Zod.
I think
That's
it's
what makes the
probably
most sense
Zod.
to me. Because
Yeah.
why would it be Brainiac? Why would
Well, because
why
sometimes
would Brainiac brand all of his things with Superman logos?
Well,
That
because
doesn't- why would he do that?
Sometimes in Superman the animated series, like Brainiac is from Krypton, and so that.
Yeah, but he
some
was a
people's theory.
computer from Krypton.
Yeah, he was
wasn't
like
a
he was a rogue
guy.
AI. I'm pretty sure it's Zod. Anyway,
It could be both, honestly.
yeah, that's stuff that's been delayed. Obviously, more stuff is probably going to be delayed as these strikes continue to go on. I'm on record as saying I thought they would be over by Labor Day. They are not even close to being over by Labor Day.
No.
At this point, it's a very real possibility they could drag on into the holiday season,
Yeah.
which would kind of be a nightmare for the studios.
Good. That's the
Good.
point.
Good. Bad for...
Unfortunately, it's also a nightmare for the people who are
Of course,
striking
that's...
and have
yeah.
no food.
And have no income.
Have no money.
Have had no income for the past 4 months.
Because I think there's like a fund that
Oh, yeah, there's multiple funds you can donate.
well, there's a fund that the union itself sort of builds up over time for strikes
Yeah.
that I believe they have either already depleted or are very close to
Oh,
depleting.
yeah. I mean, if you have any spare change and you feel very strongly about this, I'd say there's a bunch of very, very good
Yeah, you can
people
Google
who
it.
provide
There's a lot
food
of
and water for
stuff.
people on strike. You can probably seek those out. Anyway, more strike stuff anyway. That was our next thing. So Deadline, the day after we recorded the last episode, put out a table that had the costs of the proposed WGA deal, how much it would cost annually to each studio. Okay?
Mhm.
So Disney, for instance, it would annually cost them $72 million to pay for the writers' demands. Disney's annual revenue is about $82.7 billion.
It's less than 1%.
So it would cost them 0.088% of their revenue on an annual basis.
So literally less than 1/100%.
Yep.
That's so cool.
For
That's so awesome.
Netflix, it would cost $65 million for the WGA deal.
And they increased their budget this year recently by $5 billion. So they have the
Netflix
money.
has $31.6 billion in annual revenue. It would cost them the most at 0.206% of annual revenue.
Dang, so more than
None of
1
these
whole
cracked even 0.5% of revenue. Most of them cracked less than 0.1%.
That's so awesome.
So Amazon has 514 billion in annual revenue. I'm guessing that's all of Amazon, not Prime Video.
Yeah, there's no way that's Prime Video.
But like even so, that's 0.006% of their annual revenue.
I love how they're willing to burn down their
Sony, who is not a profitable entertainment business at all, 0.027%. Apple, 0.004%.
Apple. Oh, okay.
Warner Brothers Discovery, who was freaking out all the time, 0.1%.
With Apple and Amazon, I would be more interested to see these numbers in comparison to the revenue from their
Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, their production
Apple
companies.
TV, well, if you're just doing because Apple and Amazon are really only in the entertainment business through their streaming services.
Yeah,
and neither one of those are profitable. But like
because there's no point in judging it based off of
a
company's revenue. That doesn't make any sense.
But a company like Disney or Warner Brothers,
yeah, that's very much
all of their brands and revenue streams are tied to brands from their film and TV divisions.
Yeah, that's all related to the.
But yeah,
like Disney, that makes perfect sense to compare to their, because that's what they do. They make entertainment.
But yeah, if you go for like Amazon or Apple or even Sony, Sony has. I mean, the whole gaming division is a whole separate thing. They do technology as well.
Now, however, I do believe that Sony is like splintered into a bunch of different companies.
Yeah, they're owned by some Japanese conglomerate.
Well, no, they're
like a shadow company.
They're all like separate companies that used to be one company, but then were forced by the government to splinter off. So that must Sony
just be Sony Entertainment.
Is different than like Sony Electronics, if that makes sense. Like Sony that makes TVs is not the same company as Sony that makes headphones.
Yeah, but like a company like NBC Universal, right?
Yeah, obviously a media company.
0.02% of annual revenue.
And again, I'm sure if you went on like a show-by-show basis, this would probably be very different.
Now, part of this that is not factored in is that is revenue. That's not profit. That's also we also don't know what these companies' annual costs are.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're billions and billions of dollars. They employ thousands and thousands upon thousands of people. But some of the most important people are the ones who make all the things that you sell.
Yeah, if you don't have any people making stuff, your revenue would be
And
zero.
honestly, if your company cannot afford to pay some of the most important people in the entire company, maybe you're running the company bad, and maybe this is your fault.
Maybe you need to refocus your priorities.
Maybe if your entire company relies on employing a bunch of people to write things, and you can't afford to pay the people to write the things, maybe your business is screwed, and you need to rethink what you're doing here.
Maybe you need to buy a couple less yachts this year. Just like one or two less.
Anyway, so there's that. There was also Netflix. This was in some story. I can't remember where it's from. But Netflix was apparently complaining internally to other people in the AMPTP that conceding to the SAG and WGA demands would set a standard that they would then have to strike deals with groups on an international level.
Oh no,
Netflix,
we can't
that's the point.
The third world anymore?
How are we supposed to underpay all of these foreign employees if we have to pay the people in the U.S.
We were
more?
okay with giving the Americans fair pay, but the Hispanics, we can't. Come on now, what is this?
Sam, these companies are moral, all right? They preach to us all the time about their morals. We're also purposely exploiting foreign labor for their own benefit.
No. Disney? Nah.
Yeah, David Zaslav and Bob Iger were apparently shocked that they have been vilified by the public and by the people in the writers and actors guilds during the strike.
How on earth is this shocking to you?
Okay.
Wait, hey, hold on.
I can see how this is shocking.
No. Hang on. What has the story been of, like, the majority of their, like, superhero or, like, conflict-based stories for the last 15, 20 years or so? Usually, I'd say, like, 6 times out of 10, it's big corporation guy bad.
Yeah.
Beat him up. Like, 6 times out of 10. And now they're surprised. They're surprised now when the public goes, big corporation bad. Let's beat him up. That's surprising to you.
No,
why?
I think it's because these people are literally surrounded by yes men and people who praise them all day.
No, they're delusional, obviously.
They're obviously massive narcissists, and they probably didn't start out that way, but you get promoted to the point where everyone around you, who you work with on a day-to-day basis, all the press, which you own, and all of your fellow billionaire friends just praise you for being a billionaire, and you just forget that there are other people, and then as soon as you do something completely based on your ego without any sort of moral or empathetic or sympathetic thought in your mind, and people get mad at you for it, it blows your brain.
It's because they own the media around them. They own all the media around them. So hang on. I'm going to finish my point.
Okay. Yeah.
So they own the news around them. They own the productions around them. They own all that. So they have a very strong control over the messaging around them. If we compare that to something like YouTube or Twitter even, they don't own the messaging coming out of their platform.
They just own the platform.
So yeah, so when YouTube messes up, everyone on YouTube goes, YouTube, you messed up. Mm-hmm. And then they have to change.
They see the immediate error of their ways.
Exactly. Now, not always, but
well, they see it. They don't react to it.
Exactly. But there's much more consciousness about it.
And there's an immediate response.
Yes. Whereas when Disney messes up, they have an army of, news companies that they own that can come up with excuses and justifications for the evil things they do.
What do you think Bob Iger watches when he gets home? Probably ABC News, which he owns. What sports channel do you think he watches? Probably ESPN, which he knows. They own, I don't know if they still do. They used to own Maker, which was a YouTube network that Disney owned. They own parts of the media everywhere. And he's probably so sucked into the ecosystem that solely exists to, praise him as their Lord and Savior, that as soon as, even the smartest thing penetrates his bubble, it just cannot be tolerated. It's like a virus to him.
And so when they do something so egregious and obviously in the wrong, that even with the strength of their media consciousness, they are not able to sway public opinion, then they think that everyone is crazy.
Yeah.
Because
I can't be the crazy one. Because everyone's always telling me I'm cool.
So it's got to be everyone else who's crazy.
It's Principal Skinner. It's
what?
The Simpsons meme?
I didn't hear what you
Principal
said.
Skinner, where it's like, am I the problem? No, it's the children who are the problem.
Yeah.
It's that on a multi-billion-dollar corporation scale.
Yep. Anyway, what's next on the thing?
Anyway, it's more strike stuff.
Yeah.
So Disney VFX workers are voting to unionize. Over 80% of the workers have signaled their desire for this action. Good. The first thing they should do is go on strike. AMC Network has granted interim agreements with SAG. Has been granted interim agreements with SAG for 3 series to continue filming during the strike. Those shows were The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, which is one of their many 50 Walking Dead spinoffs. Also, The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live, which is another one of their 50 Walking Dead spinoffs. I'm pretty sure they literally have 6 going right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's weird that these got exceptions. Why?
And Interview with a Vampire.
I think I saw an ad for that on.
I believe it's because AMC, some of the studios have signed on to agree to the WGA terms and have been allowed to continue press and filming.
What's up with Warner Brothers and AMC Plus? Because I've seen a bunch of AMC Plus
stuff
on.
They
HBO
had some
Max.
sort of we'll talk about that in a second. But the largest sign that these corporations are just outright lying when they say they can't afford this is that Neon, A24, AMC, all these much minor production companies that this deal was supposedly cost billions of dollars to, they're yeah, we can afford this.
That's because it will cost them billions, but not right now. Because what they are striking over is future protections, is the right not to be erased when they can be. The studios will do...
Because as soon as they can, they will.
Yeah, the studios will do everything because in the future, when you could feasibly replace a human actor with an AI, whatever, they will want to do that because it will be infinitely cheaper than paying a human being.
Again, if your company tomorrow could replace every single person in the company with a computer, would do it instantly
and continue to make the same amount of money. Yeah, they would do it immediately.
They would not care.
I mean, that is what the purpose of capital is.
Yeah.
It is an investment that you use to replace
Now,
human worker.
we'll see what happens with AI, because obviously it was ruled in a recent court case that AI art is not copyrightable. So at least in the immediate future, they wouldn't be able to fully AI generate anything, but it doesn't mean they can't.
And that has already gone to court once.
AI.
It
essentially would last until they can lobby enough judges to rule in their
change it.
favor. Or it also means they can't just AI generate a script, have a writer like change 3 words and be like, oh, well, the writer worked on it, so it's technically his thing.
Yeah.
And then they just lowball the writer and pay him like $32.
Yeah.
SAG-AFTRA plans to send a strike authorization vote to video game voice actors after they failed to reach a deal with video game companies. So obviously, this would be the same strike that's happening with every other type of actor. It would be just for video game actors. Honestly, AI-generated voice actors for video games is already a thing that's been
done a little bit.
used. It's in Starfield. There are AI-generated voice actors in Starfield.
Starfield?
Mm-hmm. So obviously that they would probably be pretty mad about that immediately. And then back to our boy
Where'd you see that? I didn't see that. Where's that?
There's been a couple clips of it going around. Warner Brothers Discovery, back to them, claims they have lost $300 million to $500 million in their yearly earnings due to the strike.
That's like not even that much.
By the way, on an annual basis, the strike would only cost them, paying the writers would only cost them $45 million.
So they've already
They
lost
could
way
save, on the lower end, $250 million a year, upwards of $450 million a year just paying them.
That's what they would have saved if they had just paid them like without all this.
It's going to get worse as it keeps going, too. Why? What brain, other than the fact that you're just so ridiculously stubborn and egotistical that you can't dare have anyone else be right? Like, what could the only other possible motivation for continuing to hold out like this be?
It's because if they can win this, that means in the future, they can make productions for pennies on the dollar with equal profit to the ones that they make now. So they are fighting for their...
They're fighting for their ability to save a buck 10 years from now.
Yeah.
When this deal would already have run out anyway.
Because in the future, this could be infinitely profitable, hypothetically.
Yes.
That's what they want. They want the infinite profit money algorithm.
It's just crazy. What I would do with them is just agree to the deal now, right? And then in secret, develop all your AI movie technology. And then have that be so ready to go that when the next deal comes around, just be like, we don't need you. We don't need to even sign a deal.
They will do that eventually.
But that's what I would just do now. Just do it now. What are they doing? Why are they all so stupid? Just save the hundreds of millions of dollars you're losing on like a monthly basis. Invest all of that money into researching your AI people replacer, right?
Yeah.
And then just as soon as the next time it comes around to strike another new deal, just break out the AI.
Yeah.
Then you'll never need to sign a new contract again. I'm not saying this is a good thing. I'm just saying, like, if I'm thinking like an evil businessman, right? Lex Luthor brain, okay, over here, right? That's what I would do.
Yeah, that's the most obvious play, I think.
Also, if I'm like one of these big companies, right, and I'm like the first one to agree to the deal, I'm a hero. I'm cool. I'm gonna have major clout. Everyone's gonna think I'm really cool because I'm agreeing to it before everyone else. And all these other people are my competitors. I can get cracking on stuff before them.
Yeah, you can.
And then when they're in a giant, massive dry spell, I have content.
Yeah, you can get stuff.
Why are they not thinking? Why are they just being stupid? I don't get it.
Because
you know what? They're rich. They're smarter than me. I forgot.
They think
they're rich.
That if they show class solidarity in the same way that the striking workers do, they will be able to win the whole thing, win the whole shebang.
I'm saying you could win millions of dollars.
You
could be making millions of dollars. When Disney has no movies because they weren't able to shoot anything for 8 months, right? You could have movies racked up and ready to go. You could monopolize the entire film industry for like a good solid few weeks.
But they would rather. Rather not do that.
You know what would make Superman Legacy an even bigger hit? If there was literally not a single Marvel movie ready to play within 5 months of it. But no. I don't want
But I want my extras to be CGI mannequins instead.
I want my mannequins.
I don't want to pay that actor freaking $20 to show up for
I don't
a couple
want to pay
hours.
no extra.
You know how much,
I want to flush this $100 bill down the
you
toilet.
know how much it is to like hire an extra for like a background scene?
It costs nothing.
They literally usually pay them like hourly rates.
No,
Like,
it's like $7.25.
yeah,
an
it's
hour.
like $10
I
and
think
25
I think
cents.
SAG has like a minimum rate. Minimum rate for an extra.
Well, most
in a
extras I don't
film.
think are union workers usually.
Between $100 and $200
Is that a day? Yeah, so if you're there for 10 hours,
They're burning that much an hour right now.
yeah.
Way more than that. David Zaslav is essentially using that as a company-wide piece of toilet paper, and they're hoarding it. They just can't it's absolutely like you're saying it's a long-term play. I think they think it's a long-term play, but it's absolutely like a short-term
Well, okay,
It says on their sheet that spending $45 million is bad, and so like they just cannot their brains can't.
It is a long-term
comprehend.
play, but
It's a long-term play from a bunch of people who have never ever thought long-term in their life and only ever think
yeah,
about
this
the short
is
term.
the first time they've ever thought long-term ever. It's usually because this technology has never been possible to replace a human actor with a robot. That was assumed that it would never be possible because we just we didn't know
We didn't have
was,
that type of
we didn't have that yet. So when now they get a whiff of every other like manufacturing, they've replaced all the humans with robots because it's way cheaper to fix a robot than it is to buy healthcare for a human being.
Buy Jerry a cast for his broken leg.
Exactly. So they want that. They want the Ford machine car factory. Not
It's again, and none of it's an original idea. They're just like pointing at a thing and being like, "That's cool. I want that."
well, yeah, that's how every company operates.
They're like spoiled children.
yeah,
It's like they're like a spoiled little kid at a store who like points at a toy, right? And is like, "I want that now." And their mom's like, "Hold up, why don't we get you the bigger toy for Christmas?" And they're just like, "No, I want this right now." And they cannot possibly think beyond like this second.
Yeah, I wonder if and at what point the shareholders will just like vote to axe the CEOs and just get things moving.
I
again.
don't think the shareholder. Well, okay.
They
for
absolutely can't.
Bob
That's what
Iger's
they-
not going anywhere because he's already like the backup plan. Because they literally
they
just
could get rid
axed
of him
another
if they
CEO
wanted
a
to.
weird ago. And they just extended his deal like a couple months ago.
Yeah,
David
but that was before
Zaslav-
the strikes happened.
They don't care what David Zaslav does because he's doing his job, which is just strip the company for parts
Yeah,
and ready to be
he does
sold.
not have a real job.
He's going to be out of there in 2 years anyway
Yeah.
when they can sell it to Comcast.
His
so
job
they don't care
is
about
to
that.
like skin DC alive,
But like
and then dip.
these Netflix CEOs who are like publicly telling people with media access that they're scared they'll have to pay their other
Man,
employees.
I'm so scared that these human beings want rights.
If you're gonna be stupid and you're mad that people are saying mean things about you, don't double down on it in front of other people.
Guys.
I know you think that, but don't say it.
guys, I mean, if we give them an inch, they're gonna want like freaking fair pay. I mean, come on, we gotta exploit them to the max. We
They're
can't give
gonna
them
want
anything.
air conditioning in their cars. I don't know.
Well, they wanna live somewhere that isn't a trash can behind Walmart. Yeah, no, screw that.
Anyway, I'm gonna go poop at my
How about
gold
this? How
toilet.
about this? We'll pay for them. We'll pay for their soap bars. We'll give them soap bars so they don't smell bad on set. How about that? Does that work? Is that a deal? Does that work for you?
It's like Reagan's like a government cheese. It's just like mailed out soap bars. Anyway, so that's the strikes. As always, things just continue to get worse, and they will continue to be bad until these idiots finally like do their job, which is negotiate with their employees, because again, that is their only job.
yeah, that's like literally what the point.
What else is Bob Iger doing
The point.
other than negotiating with people on a daily basis and firing
point
people?
of upper management to make sure that the company like
Is
runs.
running smoothly.
So
And when it's not doing anything, it's not running smoothly.
so when there's not a strike happening, upper management really doesn't have much going on. Like
This is the one time you have to work.
this is the one time you got to do stuff, and they're not doing
They're
stuff.
just sitting around, like stuffing Cheez-Its up their butts and drinking Coca-Cola.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. That is a great.
Anyway.
What a good analogy that is. Where did that even come from? What is that? Is that a reference to something? Why Cheez-Its? I was like, is David Zaslav like a known Cheez-It fan?
I was hoping you just pretend you didn't hear it and move on.
Like Coca-Cola is used as a metaphor for capitalism often, but Cheez-Its are not really in the same ballpark.
Let's move on. Anyway, more of Disney being weird. So, okay, I saw this article and it made no sense to me. So Disney and Amazon are in talks to develop a streaming service for ESPN that would cost between $25 to $30 per month. Now,
What?
ESPN already has a streaming service. It's called ESPN Plus.
Why does Amazon have to do with this?
Most people already have it because they have the Disney Hulu bundle
Yeah,
and it just comes with it and they just don't use it. Why are they developing a second streaming service? 2, why are they doing it with Amazon?
Yeah,
and
what does
3,
Amazon have?
why would it cost that much? That would be more expensive than every other streaming service.
That's really okay. So you know what? I was talking about this with one of the people at the restaurant like a couple days. Why doesn't the NFL just have a streaming service?
Well, okay, so
because right now,
I'm glad you asked.
hang on, because and here's why I say that. Because right now, they have like this night's game is on this service.
Yeah.
This night's game is on this service. This coverage is on this service. Not that.
Well,
One streaming service, you get all the football.
well, the reason behind that is that the networks pay them like billions of dollars to have their games because it's the only thing people watch on network or cable television.
Yeah, but I'm Mr. NFL.
Like I think
I don't want to pay. I
no,
just
like
wanna
I
get all the
literally
money
think
myself.
like Prime Video paid them like $100 billion for Thursday Night Football for a 10-year contract. Like we're talking like literally like billions of dollars in revenue.
Yes,
Just from them paying to have games on random places.
but if they're paying that much to have a game on their service, that means that game theoretically must be generating more revenue than that in order for that to be a justifiable
It was
purchase.
$1 billion per year.
Yeah.
Prime Video is paying to the NFL for Thursday Night Football for 10 years.
So, but that means hypothetically then that those games generate more revenue than that. Correct. I mean, just
I see what
assuming
you're
the
saying.
math is correct.
Well, the NFL does have a streaming service. It's called NFL Plus. I think it costs like $5.
But there's nothing on that.
So let me tell you what it does. It only works on your phone.
Awesome.
You can only watch local games anyway, and you cannot watch the games on your television.
On what?
On your television.
That's
So it's a
cool.
streaming service pretty much only for your phone, where you can only watch the local games that you could watch with like a pair of bunny ears, right?
If you AirPlay it to your TV.
It blocks it. You can't do it.
If you just
Now, you can pay $12 a month and get NFL Network along with it, which has like 4 games a year.
Yeah, so see, that's really stupid. So what I'm saying is,
well,
just take all that, because if Amazon
I know what
willing
you're
to pay
saying
you
because
$1 billion,
other sports do it.
yeah,
The MLB and I believe the NHL have services where you pay them it's like a couple $100 a year, and you get to watch all your team's games.
yeah. Could you?
That's what the NFL should do.
Because what do people pay for cable right now? Like $80 a month.
Oh, like for probably like 100.
Yeah, and
Like
that's
15.
basically the only thing people use cable for is sports and news.
Sports.
So
Barely even news at this point.
yeah, but let's assume for this that like 80% of that is sport, right?
Yeah.
So that means I'm NFL. I go, that's a lot of money right here. I'm thinking $60 a month. All the NFL sports games.
Well,
Why not?
there is a service called NFL Sunday Ticket. It was exclusive to DirecTV forever. It's now on YouTube. That costs like, I want to say like $500 a year. That costs $300 a year. And that lets
You
you
get all
watch
the games?
All the games.
Yeah, so do that.
It's
But
essentially that.
do that, but just take it off YouTube and build your own thing. Because again, they're paying YouTube for this. Some part, I assume,
Well, YouTube is
a large
paying that.
portion of that is going to YouTube. And now that's probably like back into infrastructure.
No, I
type
think
stuff,
it's
'cause
mostly.
my
it's-
assumption is with this specific one that you're talking about right now, The NFL Network did not want to build up the back end to host a streaming platform.
No, I mean, it would require a massive shift.
They are doing a deal with YouTube, so YouTube foots all the bill for the back end, and then they just pick up the money on the side.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, that one, these companies have relationships with, the NFL is like 100-year-old relationship with most of these networks.
Yeah.
Like, they've been airing NFL games forever. Their contracts are like 10 to 15 years binding. So it would take forever before they could get out of them anyway.
But you know what's even more
and three,
binding?
Sports is a really diverse audience in terms of age. So like,
yeah,
if you switched entirely to streaming, I mean, Grandpa would not know what's going on. He would freak out. He would have no idea why he can't watch football anymore. And you have to explain to him why he has to pay $200 a year to watch it.
I think at this point they could get away with it. Give him a year. Run ads for NFL Plus. It's coming out next year, guys. Every game. Go NFL Plus, coming out. Get ready. Heck, you make the ads like super, like, here's exactly how to download.
I don't understand why NFL Plus doesn't, like, why would you not? It's probably a contract thing, but like, make a service $12 a month. You can only watch your local games, right? That would do crazy anyway, because then if you only ever watch sports with your live TV subscription, you would immediately dump that and just pay the $12.
They could probably buy out their contracts if they wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL is a massively profitable organization.
Yeah.
It's literally only gotten bigger over the past 10 years. Anyway, that's not what we were talking about. Oh, we were talking about ESPN. I think the reason that Disney is teaming up with Amazon for this is because, like, they want someone else to foot, like, half the bill.
My assumption...
And the other reason is that I'm pretty sure this is just them straight up, like, having a live streaming channel of ESPN.
My assumption is,
24/7.
again, similar to the YouTube thing with the NFL, Disney is not a web service developer.
No.
They don't know how to do that. They
did Disney Plus, and it barely works.
Yeah, they would have to build up an entire division to do that.
Disney Plus is 4 years old, and they've never updated the UI.
Amazon has a near monopoly on live internet broadcasting right now because they own Twitch, and they license that technology out to almost every Twitch competitor save for YouTube. Like Kick, that runs on Amazon Web Services. That runs on Twitch backend. So does Rumble Live. All those like smaller like startups all work off of Twitch's backend technology. They all pay Amazon to use Twitch's code, more or less. So I assume that's what Disney's going to them for. They don't want to put in the
Disney
work
doesn't
to
want to have
out,
to invest.
They don't know how to do that.
I mean, I think it would do Disney well in the long term because they could essentially move all of their cable and network channels to a streaming model. But
why? At that
in
point,
terms
why?
of now, I think they're thinking, how can we put ESPN online to appeal to the kids? And Amazon's willing to pay for half of it.
No, my real question
$25 to $30 a month is insane, though, to watch ESPN.
You know what my real question is here, though?
Especially since ESPN Plus already exists.
If you're doing live content, why would you?
Because no one's watching cable.
Why do you think they would watch it if live on the internet?
I mean, it'd essentially be like a
If
podcast.
People wanted that content, they would go
You
to
can
that
find that content.
now.
You can find a million independent
on
sports
YouTube.
channels on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
Who will probably make
Like thousands of
better, more adaptable,
accurate.
more accurate, and like way less biased and like reliant on stupid people saying like the dumbest crap ever just for attention.
It's not those same four guys. That you
It's
see
not
on every
Skip
ESPN
Bayless
show.
saying like the dumbest thing he can possibly think of in the moment just so someone tweets
it's
about him.
The one young black dude, the one old black dude, the like balding white guy, and the Asian girl. It's always those four. I don't know any of their names, but I see them on every single ESPN show.
Anyway,
They might even be different people, but it's always that same
I think you're
set.
mixing a few people together, but yeah, that's about it.
I mean, so just swap, one or two of them out per show. That's basically what's going on.
Anyway, Disney that's Disney creating dumb things, Disney canceling things. So the Spiderwick Chronicles, which is of course based on a children's book series, that had a TV series that was shot all 6 episodes, completed for Disney Plus, and then they just decided to cancel it, and they're going to shop it to other networks.
Okay.
So before stuff was getting released and then pulled after like 2 hours, now we're just not even going to release it. We're going to film the entire thing. We're going to pay for its production, and then we're going to just delete it.
See, this kind of is what makes me extra worried for the like workers on strike, because like if Disney is this willing to just
straight up throw things in the trash,
content, like they don't have as many legs to stand on as I think they do, right?
Nautilus, which was a television series on Disney Plus, is a prequel to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That was that's also been scrapped before it's even released.
Conceptually, that's
They had
incredibly
shot
hard.
half that show, and it would only stopped because of the strike, and now they're just going to scrap.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is not even that long of a book. Like, how do you make a prequel? Is there a prequel
Don't
book?
ask me. Maybe
Does the book have a prequel?
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Bum 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 bum. That's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea theme.
Because I've read the book. It's not that long.
Boop bop boop. Reception release.
It basically goes, "Hi, I am Guy. Let's go in submarine. Okay, Guy, let's go in submarine. There's Atlantis.
10-episode
Alrighty, bye bye."
miniseries.
That's like
Not based on anything.
that's my incredibly small summary of 20,000 Leagues Under.
Well, it's a technically prequel to the film.
The book goes, "Let's go in submarine. Oh, there's Atlantis. All right, book over."
They should have done a prequel series to the film.
Actually,
Atlantis.
do they find Atlantis in the book?
I don't know. I never read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I don't know. I read it when I was like in 5th grade. I remember very little.
It's a very old book. Anyway.
Or the Time Machine though. That book goes hard.
Time Machine is cool.
Time Machine's a
H.G. Wells. He to go.
He hits hard.
He was on. Yeah, he
does
was
not
finger on the
miss.
pulse. Invisible Man's great too.
I read that.
That one's good. Disney reported that the first. Okay, so Disney randomly came out on like Thursday after Ahsoka premiered, and said that the premiere was watched by 14 million viewers in the first 48 hours of release. Now, in the little press release, they specifically stated that was the most viewers for a Disney Plus show during that time frame.
Like on that day of release.
Like in those 48 hours, they were boasting that that was the most watched show.
Would hope so.
Yeah,
It was the only show that was out.
Now, they only said this because Samba TV, which is a... People quote all the time on the internet when they're talking about streaming viewership. We really know nothing about Samba TV. We know that they supposedly measure the streaming views on smart TVs, and that's it.
So is this like a third-party company?
It's a third-party company.
Is it like some Chinese
people tend to
data
cite it all the
aggregate?
time when they like try to prove a point. They're like, "Oh, my thing was a bigger hit than your thing. Look at this Samba TV thing." It's mostly that. They had reported that this was watched by less viewers than the Book of Boba Fett was. So
there's no
Disney
way
came
that's
out
true.
to save face and said 14 million viewers. Now, that
I doubt that this
probably
is less than
not
Boba Fett.
true. I'd say it's probably closer to like 5.
Now,
Which I don't know if
See,
that's good because they don't ever report streaming
here's
numbers.
the thing. I could believe either case for two different reasons. One, I could believe that this has more viewers than Boba Fett because people care way more about this story.
Disney never said it had more views than Boba Fett. They just said it had 14 million views, and they never came out and said how many books.
Yeah, I'm talking more generally. Because I think more people care about this story than Boba Fett. Now, the premieres, I could definitely see Boba Fett being more because people know Boba Fett more.
Do they?
Yeah. Because once you got 3 episodes into Boba Fett, you did not care anymore at all. We're 4 episodes into Ahsoka,
But they're just talking
and
about
its
the
viewership
premiere.
has gone up exponentially episode to episode.
Well, maybe.
That's what they've reported.
It
I'm
definitely
assuming that
did.
that's the case.
This last episode definitely was big.
It was trending
trended
number
for
1
like
on Twitter for
14
like,
hours.
hours.
It trended for like from like 7 p.m. to like
Like this
10
morning.
a.m. the next morning.
Yeah, like now I could
That was
also
mostly-
believe that it has less viewers because Boba
It's
Fett's a
super
bigger
in-
name.
and this is like super niche for
And
fans.
the goodwill of Star Wars is evaporated.
It's
gone.
completely gone.
Andor was really good, but no
And
one
no one
watched
watched
it because Andor had very little name
I should
value.
start telling more people to watch Andor.
Andor has no name value because no one really...
Watch Andor. It's better than everything else.
Rogue One was not super, like, big. Like, it was
pretty big.
really, really good.
It was pretty big. It made like $1.3 billion.
Yeah, but compare that to any
But
other
nobody
Star
remembers
Wars movie.
No one remembers a single character.
Yeah, no one remembers any of those characters.
If you ask
they
people
were not
about
very
Rogue
well
One, they'll
like,
remember the
established.
part where Darth Vader kills all those people in that hallway.
It's a phenomenal movie.
That's about it.
I did not know most of the characters' names until I saw it like the 5th time.
I can remember 2 of them.
I know Andor. I know Jin.
In Urso.
I know. I know
Chirrut?
K2SO.
Oh, yeah, he
and
was a
that's pretty much it.
It was the blind man. It was
Blind
the
guy.
dude
I
with the
think his
big
name was
gun.
like Chirrut or Chiro
Yep.
or something.
There was
Churro.
Riz Ahmed.
Is that
actor.
the gun guy? Oh,
He's
that's
the
the actor.
pilot.
Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so Andor had like no name value. So even though it was really good, it did not restore any faith in the Star Wars franchise.
No.
And then Obi-Wan came out, super big name value, super duper mid show. Did not impress anyone.
But it had pretty big
It was
viewership.
okay. It had very high highs and very low lows. So I think it kind of ended up being a net neutral.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, the TV show, is the best fan film ever made.
Like, okay, here's my, if I'm making up a chart right now, okay, here's how it goes. So we have Mandalorian. That's going up. Everyone loves Mandalorian.
Yep.
Mandalorian season 3 or 2, it's like still going up, still pretty good.
Boba
Boba Fett comes out, it goes down a little bit, down back.
Geez.
Like I say, at least
it's getting
half
bad.
down.
We're
to,
pooping the bed right now.
Mandalorian went up to here. Boba Fett brought us like down halfway down the graph. Then Mando season 3 came out. It just kind of hovered. It didn't really go up or down.
It probably
just
dipped a little bit.
Maybe dipped
for
a bit.
being honest. It honestly
Not super impressive.
It did okay on the Nielsen charts. Like after that show
I liked
wrapped
Mando
up,
season 3, but like it had.
it did okay. Honestly, I think that
meandering.
show was probably watched by more people than we realized. I think there was just less.
Well, because seasons 1 and 2 of Boba Fett finished the whole story arc.
Well, there was
season 3 was completely
Also,
superfluous.
like season 2 of Mando had like week to week. There was always like a big thing,
yeah,
like a big character show.
it was hype every time.
That was not in the Mandalorian
Season 3
So
was
I think,
like, oh, Jack Black's here.
So I
and
think there was a lot of
Lizzo
people
for
who
some
watched
reason.
Mandalorian season 3 and then just said nothing about it and forgot about it until the next episode came out.
Then Andor came out and no one saw it. So again, the chart just kind of stayed kind of down in the dumps. And then Obi-Wan came out and it went and it fell down even more. Because the people who were not super invested in Star Wars who watched Obi-Wan didn't really care for it because they don't really care about the prequels that much. And the
Red Letter Media thought it was okay.
The Star
Which is
Wars
pretty high
fans
praise
who
for Star
watched
Wars.
it were not impressed because they were like, this is kind of like weird. Like just conceptually, this makes very little sense. So they didn't really like it.
Conceptually, it makes sense. It was an execution where it failed.
Well,
on many levels.
I'm saying like in terms of what we know about the Star Wars universe, you have to do a lot of whole jumping.
It was a lot of like
to get it to like kind of fit.
You can feel yourself in the writers' room watching that show of like, okay, what can we do here that wouldn't affect this?
It was
We can do
very
this.
it was very limited by the established universe.
they were like
they had very few options.
they were like doing loop-de-loops around other
And
larger
so they had to-
ideas,
yeah, they
just
had
so
to
they
do-
could fit it all in.
They had to do a lot of stupid things to kind of make it fit. It didn't really fit. And then Ahsoka has been really, really good. But I think because so many people have completely fallen off of Star Wars at this point, I don't know if it's recoverable. At least not for a long time.
In Liam Neeson, he said he thinks there's too many things. He thinks they've diluted the brand.
Okay,
if
well,
Liam Neeson thinks they've diluted their brand by releasing too
That's
much
true.
crap,
He's made like 5 Taken
you know
movies.
it's bad. He literally made one of his generic Takens this last week, and a trailer for his next one came out today.
That's awesome. I love that he is just taking.
I love Liam Neeson. I love that he's just at a stage of his career where he's just collecting checks and just not caring.
You know what sucks the most is I want a Qui-Gon.
I wish he would do a real movie, like just one. Like I wish he would like show up in like Quentin Tarantino.
He's so cool. He's
such a good actor.
He's just only in the dumbest movies.
Like I get doing the dumb stuff to make money. Like I you know what, you do you, all about that grind. But like, do one real movie.
Speaking of,
I'd like to see you in a movie.
Speaking of people who've diluted their brand,
Yeah.
bro, you've diluted your
You're in
brand.
Schindler's List, bud.
Why are you doing
Dude,
taking?
I'm
Not taking
You
number
don't have
20.
to stop the takens. Just like call up your boy Steven Spielbergo and just be like, yo, you got any scripts? I'd like to be in a real movie now. Anyway.
Yeah. All right, hang on. We got to pause because I got to go to bed. Okay, we're back.
Podcast dog is here.
Podcast dog is here. She's
She's
running
looking
around.
for food. So, okay, CNBC ran an article for
yeah.
a guy claims to have spoken to multiple former and current Disney executives, and he says that many of them have told him that they believe Bob Iger is planning on staying as CEO until the company is sold to Apple, and he's essentially just there as like the holdover.
Yeah.
Prepare it for being sold. Now, this is not the first time there were reports of Disney being sold to Apple. Some of those popped up in 2019, back when they bought Fox.
And do you want to know who wrote?
And
those-
there was
you
rumors-
want to know who wrote that article?
And there was rumors that they were buying Fox so that they would be a bigger deal, so that when Apple bought them, they would have like a massive streaming organization. Because at that time, Apple was getting Apple TV Plus up and running, and presumably they would have content from Apple, Disney, and Fox all to merge into one massive stream.
Yeah. He's just walking around.
Here she's gonna try to sit on that chair.
Yeah, she might, but
fall into the box.
falls in a box.
Oh, dumb. Oh, now she's trying.
Well, she'll be fine.
Oh yeah, she'll figure it out. Anyway, what were you saying about the guy who wrote the article?
So, in the first or the second or third paragraph, the guy goes, "Oh, when I became a journalist, I wrote an article called, will Apple buy whatever company?" And it got a lot of views. So I learned that if I keep writing these articles and I just say, "No, Apple won't buy the company" at the end, I'll get a lot of views. So I'm going to keep doing that. And he literally says that at the beginning. He's the same guy who makes the will Apple buy Nintendo? Will Apple buy Google? Will Apple buy Disney? He does this that's what he does. He writes just that article over and over again.
I do think it's possible, though. I do think it's very well possible.
I don't think Apple wants Disney.
I think they'd absolutely want Disney.
For what?
Disney? What do you mean, for what?
If Apple wanted to buy Disney...
A movie studio, a television studio, a music library with millions of dollars worth of songs in it, billions of dollars
I could see them buying the
music
library, but Apple doesn't usually branch out into other product categories that they're not already well established.
They're doing TV, right? They're doing TV and movies.
Kinda. They make one TV show and one movie a year.
They're cranking out a lot, man. And I think, honestly, Apple TV
But no
Plus,
one's watching any of that.
But if you think about it... hang on, I gotta close this.
I'll be fine.
All right. So if you think about it, though, where's Apple TV Plus going? Right?
Nowhere.
They're just spinning their wheels. The only way it would go anywhere is if they were to purchase a Disney and have a bunch of content and infrastructure to merge with the Disney and create a bigger streaming library.
Okay.
And they're already distributing films. Killers of Flower Moon, Napoleon, those are both Apple movies. $200 million budgets. I mean, they obviously want to break into the entertainment industry for some reason. And
okay, but if
there's no better way to cement yourself as the number one guy than to just buy the number one guy.
Okay, number one, name 2 companies Apple has bought. There's one that you can probably name. I doubt you could name a second. That's the first one. Name one other.
They probably own like a phone case provider, right?
They make their own
companies. Apple owns.
I'm talking about not tech companies. I'm talking about companies outside of their general product demographic.
They own Shazam.
Well, but that's they use that to make
Siri.
They
own a lot of...
They own a lot of very small companies that they use to
tech companies.
tech companies. But they don't own anything else.
But there's a first time for everything, Sam.
Okay, now I'm Tim Apple. Okay,
Yep.
I'm looking at
You're
Apple.
Tim Apple. Yep.
Looking at Apple TV Plus.
Yep.
I'm
this
going
random $1 million investment that no one knows why I've made.
I'm going. Yeah, I like Ted Lasso, but why do I own this? If I'm Tim Apple, I'm not thinking I need to make this better by buying Disney. I'm thinking I should sell this to Disney because it's worthless. That's what I'm thinking. And Disney Plus is losing money hand over fist.
But think about it. It was always worthless.
Yeah,
it's not. They knew it was going to be worthless.
So why would you?
So why did they do it in the first place if they didn't have some idea of the future of it?
Because I think that
we talk about the movie studio CEOs being dumb. The Apple people generally know what they're doing with their products because they hit home runs every single time.
But that's with hardware products. They don't really make they have one banger show, 2 really, but people only know the one.
They made a lot of good stuff. Just people have only seen Ted Lasso.
Yeah, people only know it for Ted Lasso.
Yeah,
and I don't think Apple wants to get into that as much as I think maybe some people think they do. I think Apple is perfectly content making their weird little one-off cool big budget things every once in a while. But I don't see a world
releasing 12 films theatrically.
I don't see a world where Apple wants Disney. I don't.
You can't see a world where a $1 billion company eats another $1 billion company, and we're all
I'm not saying $3 billion. I'm not saying I don't think mergers will happen. That's absurd. I'm saying, given Apple's sort of philosophy for what they invest in, I don't think Disney fits into that brand image. I don't think that Disney fits in with
I don't
Apple's
know.
brand.
I think of all the companies, they fit in the most.
How?
What is the Apple brand? Think about what's that?
Apple is minimalist technology for
It's
the
minimalist.
mass, for the most
It's
people.
for the general audiences. What is Disney content? Slim down, basic, families. It's simple.
But it's not.
You can't tell
unified.
me Star Wars is not complex because it's not.
Sometimes it is.
In terms of overcomplicated lore,
No,
not in terms
no.
of themes.
Some Clone Wars episodes have good, complicated themes.
But those were produced
Like the
before
ones
Disney
where,
bought-
like the ones where Padme talks to her separatist friend, and they're like, "Whoa, everyone's bad." That's for kids. That's complicated. But my point is, Disney is not one thing. Whenever Apple does something, there's one feel to it always. Like all Apple computers feel the same.
Who's the one company they struck a deal with for the Apple Vision Pro? Who's little immersive?
It's a streaming service though for a headset. That makes sense.
But think about
that's
it.
totally that's
You
totally
said
different
yourself,
reasons.
me and you both said, that the future is we all watch TV in our Apple VR goggles. They already got the Disney. They own Disney. We're all watching TV on our Apple branded product. And Apple owns the streaming provider. That would make sense.
That would make
sense.
The thing, see, my argument is not even that it doesn't make sense for them to buy Apple. Like business wise, I could totally see it, but I don't think Disney I don't think it looks like Apple. Apple only likes to buy stuff that has that Apple feel to it.
Yeah, I can see
Disney
that.
doesn't have that Apple feel to it. You know what I mean?
I don't think they would ever call it Disney by Apple. I think they would just be Disney. They own it, and they would never merge the two.
But then why even bother at that point?
Because then you own all the Apple doesn't need the Disney brand, and Disney doesn't need the Apple brand. They're already the biggest brands on the planet.
Because
So you wouldn't merge it so that there's more awareness, because everyone knows both of them already. You would merge it for the assets of Disney, which is what they would want. They wouldn't care. I mean, you would want the Disney brand, but you wouldn't need to smack the Disney brand with the Apple brand in order for it to be more successful.
See, what I'm talking about right now is why I always say I think Nintendo and Apple have a much more similar philosophy to each other than Disney and Apple do. Because Nintendo is very proprietary. They're very selective with what they produce. I wouldn't either. But I think philosophically they align far more than Apple and Disney do.
I don't know. Nintendo tends to take more risks than Apple. Apple does
That's
not take
true.
risks.
That's true. But
especially in terms of hardware, Nintendo will do weird stuff, right? Apple doesn't ever do anything weird. They just do an improved version of the last thing they did.
that's true. But Nintendo doesn't really take a lot of risks with their software.
No, they don't.
Aside from Breath of the Wild,
They
don't
never
really
try
take
anything
risks.
new.
yeah, I mean, Splatoon, kinda, and Breath of the Wild.
Well, they'll do new games every now and then, but they'll never make a first-person realistic.
But and we might talk about this, I guess not. But Super Mario Wonder is the first different-looking Mario game in 15 years, and from what we can tell, it plays more or less the same. Even what I would consider to be one of their more risky titles of the recent Nintendo generation is still, all things considered, not that risky.
Yeah.
Whereas Apple also, in a very similar fashion, always plays things very safe. Now, they will occasionally take risks with their hardware. They're just usually way stupider about it. Like removing the headphone jack. That's a big risk. Whether you look at it as it's not a positive thing for the consumer, but that was a risk.
Yeah.
That was a risk that they took.
It worked.
The Apple Watch, that was a very weird niche product category that they didn't really have a super good understanding of
And it worked.
until they made their thing and they made it work. In a very similar way to Nintendo, where they'll go into a space where nothing sort of really exists there and they'll make it work.
It took the Wii U for the Switch to work.
Exactly.
No, I think it's interesting that Warner Brothers is definitely going to be sold to Comcast. Lock that in. That is going to happen.
Yeah, see, and again, I think Comcast and Warner Brothers, philosophically, I see them merging and being one thing. I don't
can see it merging
Disney and
because
Apple being
one is
thing.
$45 billion in debt and the other one has billions of dollars. And they'll just go to whoever.
But
will
those
take up all
companies
their debt.
do similar things.
Yeah.
Apple and Disney don't
Comcast
do
already
similar
owns
things.
Universal.
Yeah,
I mean, it would just be more Universal.
like Apple, if they bought Disney, they would never really buy Disney. You know what I mean?
I just can't wait for the day when there are two companies, Comcast and Apple. Comcast owns the internet, and Apple owns every device you use to access the internet.
That will be very cool.
What a cool day that will be.
And then we will have the first corporate war from Cyberpunk, and they will try to kill each other for market domination. It will be
literally
so
like
sick.
people with Microsoft gun.
Yeah,
This
no,
is
that's what happens in Cyberpunk.
Microsoft gun.
That's what happens in the Cyberpunk game. There's 4 corporate wars that like happen before the game starts.
Yeah. Only that.
You know what sucks?
RoboCop was ahead of its time.
You know what really sucks? You know what sucks about playing Cyberpunk more than the bugs and glitches and everything else? The fact that every time I play it, I'm like, man, this could like actually happen, and it sucks
Buddy,
so
that's
much.
watching RoboCop.
Like, there's the part where you go. There's this one part of Cyberpunk I remember because it was like totally unnecessary. I go up to this guy who's like cooking food. I'm like, what do you serve? He goes, I got meatballs and hot dog. He lists off some stuff. I'm like, is this real meat? And he goes, no, what do you think this is? Some kind of freaking fancy real meat place? Like,
It's already
God
happened,
dang
Sam.
it. God dang it. I just ate McDonald's. It's already happening.
I keep mentioning RoboCop because I've been watching all the RoboCops.
Watch the new one, the reboot.
I haven't watched 3. That's the only one I've done 1 through 3. I haven't gotten to the remake. But
I keep seeing clips of it on TikTok. Like recently, I've seen like clips
one
of
those
RoboCop
things.
on
It's
TikTok.
probably on Netflix. That's probably why. That's usually why
Maybe,
stuff blows
yeah.
up on TikTok. But there was a scrapped pitch for a RoboCop 2 where RoboCop would be like frozen and then woken up 30 years later, and all of like various competing companies have built like their own crappy versions of RoboCop, and RoboCop working for like the company that made
so
him
exactly what
has to
Cyberpunk
going
is?
around and fight other, except for this was in
Yeah.
1987.
Well, the Cyberpunk RPG came out in 1977.
But like, that's just funny to me. Like these things that were jokes 40 years ago.
Yeah, they're just
just
happening.
straight up happened.
Oh,
And everyone's just like, we've all just become numb to it. We
George
just
Orwell,
care.
don't miss. George Orwell, don't miss.
Anyway,
God dang it.
Sam, Taylor Swift to do a complete 180.
Speaking of rampant
Now,
consumerism,
Sam, I think me and you are both completely Taylor Swift neutral.
I do not care.
I don't think either of us do.
Her songs are okay.
They are pretty generic.
They're not.
Decent
They're
pop.
not offensive enough that I will change the
No.
radio.
If they're
but
anything,
they're not
they're
memorable
inoffensive.
enough that I can tell them apart from each other.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say they're not memorable.
Okay.
We gotta tread carefully here.
No. I'm about
The
to.
Swifties are out for blood.
I'm about to blast out with a hot
Oh
take.
no. Yeah.
If I had
I'm not associated with this man.
If I had a mind eraser device,
Uh-huh.
and I were to take your average Swiftie and flash their brain with the
The Men in Black
neuralizer, right? And I were to play a Taylor Swift album end to end, and I cut out the transitions, I don't think they would be able to tell where one song ends and the next one begins.
I don't think they'd be able to tell you who made the song.
Yes, but if I were to go, all right, I'm gonna play an album.
Tell me where the song ended.
Yeah, if I did that, I don't think they'd be able to say where they begin and end.
I have no opinions on Taylor Swift. I've heard her songs. They seem okay. I know she's on her big tour. It looks like fun. I
Remember
will never
when-
go, but sure.
Remember
have
when
fun.
she dated Jake Gyllenhaal?
Her.
I think
Probably got a whole album out of that relationship.
she did.
I love that that's
Probably
like
multiple.
a lot of... Anyway, I don't want to get into it. So she announced this past week that she has filmed a concert film for the Eras Tour, which is her current tour,
Yay.
which is still going, but will end up as the most successful music tour in the history of money. It's going to release in theaters on October 13th. This was a shock to everybody, including the studios. Pre-sales started that day. Universal, who had The Exorcist Believer was supposed to come out on October 13th. They had to move that up a week to clear out because they knew this was going to be so big.
Yep, fair enough.
So apparently, what happened here was
You know what would have been a better idea? Just to erase it. Just don't release
The Exorcist
don't
Believer?
release don't release that.
Okay. So Universal has Exorcist Believer, right?
Mhm.
And Five Nights at Freddy's coming out like the same month.
Yeah.
They're putting The Exorcist Believer exclusively in theaters, and then Five Nights at Freddy's in theaters and on Peacock. I'm like, what are you doing? Five Nights at Freddy's is obviously the bigger thing.
Yeah. I don't think they know that, though.
That's gonna make so much money. I think it's like it must have been some studio exec who was like, well, Exorcist is a proven brand.
Yeah.
And Five Nights at Freddy's
Exorcist is the proven brand that makes a bajillion dollars every time for no real reason.
That last entry was 30 years ago.
Yeah, but still, that's like
No, I mean,
movie guys understand movie thing.
yeah.
So when
they don't understand video
when
game
video
thing.
game thing happened, they go, what?
Which you think?
I ain't no Freddy
You think Universal, right? People who made the Mario movie. Mario movie was the biggest movie
of the year so far, still
until Barbie. Right?
Yeah, until Barbie.
You think they would be like, oh, these video game things are big. Let's put Five Nights at Freddy's in theaters. They've had since April to realize that, and they just never did. I think it's
Now, to be fair, Gran Turismo just came out and did the opposite of what Mario.
But that was Gran Turismo. But
and that movie was not even about Gran Turismo.
The people who are doing the new Exorcist did Halloween, the last Halloween trilogy. Right?
Yeah.
And I think they realized they saw like Halloween 2018 made like $700 million, which is a giant hit. And they were thinking like, well, The Exorcist will probably do that.
Sure, why not?
Because those are basically the same thing.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, there is. They are the same. That's the same guy.
And so they were just like, that one's going to make all the money.
When I see Michael Myers or whichever one is the murder guy in Halloween,
You got it right, it's Mike Myers.
I never know.
You watched that. You've seen that movie.
I saw the
first
second one.
You see?
I saw the last 30 minutes of the first one.
Did you see the one where he crushes that guy's head?
I showed up.
Do you remember anything that happened in the one you saw?
I was going to a Halloween party, but I believe I had work before. So I showed up late. Or for some reason, I was late to the party. When I got there, they had already been watching it for about 30 minutes or so. So I watched like the last part of the Halloween reboot. There's a part where he takes a guy and sticks him on a fence. Well, that part.
Okay, yeah, that's the 2018.
And there's that's.
So that's
I
the
think
one
that's the
you've
first scene that I saw when I got there.
Okay, that's like halfway through.
Yeah. So I saw that.
That's the only one you've seen, right?
And then I saw
Did
the
you see
second
Halloween
one.
Kills?
I don't think I saw.
That's the one in the hospital.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think you've seen that. I think you've just seen.
Did I see
2018.
Halloween Kills or Halloween Ends? Did I see Halloween Ends? I don't think I did.
We didn't see that one in theaters because it was on Peacock, and they lost a bunch of
I
money.
remember the part where he gets locked in the basement and they set the house on fire.
Yeah, that's the 2018 one.
Okay, so then
That's the
that's
only
that's the only one I've seen.
But that's not a. I don't know why we went on that tangent.
My point is that guy and the possessed girls, them's the same guy.
It's the same. One's a demon.
That's the same guy.
One is
the guy.
physical embodiment of.
The guy with a knife, just a man with a knife.
No, Sam.
Who is kind of immune to bullets sometimes.
No, the more he kills, the more powerful he gets.
That's not even true.
I don't want to get it's too much of a no. I can't.
Is
we don't have
there
time.
lore to the?
Oh,
do those
buddy.
movies even have lore?
I can draw out the timeline.
I know
for
there's
you.
like the his mom and all that, but I mean like outside of, but that was like mostly retcon.
When we get closer to Halloween time, I'll break it all down. So if Taylor Swift's team initially went to the studios for distribution for the concert film,
Makes sense.
and they wanted a bigger cut of the revenue than she was willing to give. So instead, her team went directly to AMC theaters, and they're just going to release the film. They're going to do business directly with them. So
Is it only in AMC theaters?
So I saw reports that it was, and then I looked on the Cinemark app, and it's not. So I think it was like I think she initially struck the deal with AMC, and then they've since gone to other theaters.
And Cinemark struck a deal.
I think it is
afterwards.
only chains. I don't think any like mom and pop or like smaller.
Yeah,
theaters are
I
gonna
wouldn't
play it. I think it's
expect
just
that.
the big ones. The pre-sales on AMC's website set the highest in a 48-hour span with $24 million in sales. That beat out the $16.8 million done by the previous record holder, which was Spider-Man No Way Home. The Hollywood Reporter is estimating that the film will have an opening north of $100 million. They're saying $150 million is not off the table. That's probably only going to get bigger as we get closer to its actual release and you get a marketing campaign ramped up. It's going to open by far the biggest concert film opening of all time.
Well, yeah, how many
And it'll
are
be
there?
the
Like 3?
highest grossing concert film ever, probably opening weekend.
But will it have more people show up than the Fortnite concert for whoever the guy was that they did the first one?
Well, Sam, let's think about this. One was on Fortnite. It was free.
True.
This one,
But you had to download Fortnite. That's like 80 gigs.
you'll have to both leave your house and pay money. However, Taylor Swift is the biggest pop star on the planet.
See who wins?
So
Travis Scott. Okay, let me look it up. Let me look up how many people.
I don't think we need to.
No, we gotta know.
We don't
need to
we
know.
don't need to know.
Oh,
We're gonna be 7 seasons in. Fortnite is gonna have been
Fortnite
offline.
just refuses to die.
Fortnite's gonna have been offline for 3 years, and you'll be like, "Hold
Fortnite will
up,
never end.
let me Google this Fortnite thing."
Look up how many ticket sales have they done for it? So
They've done like $20-something million worth of Taylor Swift movie pre-sales.
okay,
46
48 or 45.8 million.
As of August
viewers
31st, that was like
for
a
the
week and a
event.
half ago.
How many sales was that?
It says 26 million, and that was like a week ago.
So easily by the end of its run, it will eclipse.
The Fortnite,
Travis
Travis
Scott event.
Wow.
That's pretty crazy though.
No, it isn't.
For a free like online concert thing, compared to one that has way higher like investment.
But also, the audience of a Taylor Swift concert is bigger than like kids playing Fortnite who want to stare at a 3D model of Travis Scott as his songs play.
Some kids really enjoyed that. Some kids were. I mean, they've
No,
done a lot of them though. Like,
This is crazy though to have.
do you imagine how many viewers they would?
I
get
mean,
if Taylor Swift.
this is probably going to be the largest opening for like a non-narrative feature ever.
Well, yeah. How many
Like-
big non-narrative features have there
but
been?
like that's kind of crazy just to think about.
Like, what are you comparing it to? Documentaries?
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
of
stuff like
course
that.
it's gonna be bigger than that.
It's crazy though. I mean, 100 million. That's like a Marvel movie opening for a pre-taped concert.
Yeah, this is not. This really is not not surprising to me.
I'm not surprised it did big money. I'm surprised it's doing this much money.
Because they did a BTS one of these also, and it
But
also
that was like a $15 million opening.
yeah, that's also for
This is going to be north of 100
that was also
million.
for like a Korean boy band that is like kind of fell off.
This is-
but like Taylor Swift is easily the biggest
This is
musician
probably going to be
ever.
in a bigger opening than like the last 2 Marvel movies.
Okay, again, that's not. This is like in slim pickings here. What even was the
Guardians
last
3,
Guardians 3? Oh, that was pretty big.
Ant-Man.
No one cared about.
But that was a Marvel movie. This is
Yeah.
a concert. You can see clips of on TikTok for free.
But he's
Or
going
you
on a
can
big-
go.
big screen. Well, how much does a ticket to it?
Oh,
The Eras, it's like $1,000.
Yeah,
right?
it's super expensive.
Yeah, I mean, compare that to the price of
This is Genius by Taylor Swift, by the way.
Like, okay, let's think. What percent of the concert experience are you getting at a theater?
You're getting the music.
Like,
You're getting there being other people there.
true. That's a
Not
good
as
part of it.
many people, but some people. There's less chance of you dying in a mosh pit.
True. Travis Scott. That's way safer.
It's probably a shorter drive. There's air conditioning.
There's less people, but
less
still enough to
people.
be hype, which could be a benefit for some people.
Mhm.
And the music probably isn't so loud
It's
you have to wear
dark.
earplugs.
Dark is not all like bright and happy.
Yeah, it's
No
not. It's not
lights.
90 degrees outside.
Well, there's no like lights.
Yeah, there's no blinding lights.
There's
in
no
your face.
fun light show.
But that
other
could
than on
again,
the
that could be a
screen.
plus for some people. Some people don't like being blinded by
They
lasers.
could have epilepsy.
So I'd say you're getting like at least 60% of a concert experience here.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, their person's not like there, which I think is probably the biggest appeal of it.
Oh wait, hey, you don't think that like one of these shows like Taylor? Thanks for coming, guy. Like it's like the first
yeah,
one or
I'm
whatever.
sure at the premiere in LA, she'll roll in for 3 minutes,
But she's one of those.
surrounded by her personal military.
She's one of those people who will just like show up at a place and like do stuff.
Yes.
Like she's like destroyed malls before, like showed up.
I admire those people for not straight up like becoming cult members.
They
Cult
would
leaders.
if she started a cult. Like,
I know.
instantly.
I admire them for like not like I would do that 100% instantly.
You mean you admire Taylor Swift for not starting a cult?
Yes, I would be like, all right, Swifties, pay me
Convert
$300
to my
a month
religion
and
now.
convert to my- yeah, I would do that 100% because they would do it. They basically already are.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're buying all of her albums just because she like told them to.
Well, I mean, okay, that I kind of understand because like
No, I get why she did it, but like
There was some like conflicts with like
The record label. Owned all the songs.
Plus, it's kind of cool to get like an updated master of you know, you're basically getting a modern remaster of every song you like ever. For like, if I was a big Taylor Swift fan, I'm like, heck yes, I'm going to buy the better.
Essentially, have a new album launch every couple months.
Yeah.
Without having to write any music.
And you already know you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
Because you've already heard it.
Yeah, I've already heard it. Anyway, that Taylor Swift. She's a pretty good businesswoman. She's going places.
I got a feeling she's gonna be big. She's gonna go far.
Anyway, our last news item in this 7-hour show. Rotten Tomatoes.
We're not even at the 2-hour mark.
Oh, good. We'll probably end up at like 2:30 because if we can blow through Gran Turismo real fast.
Yeah, we're not gonna have a lot to say about Gran Turismo.
I don't. So Rotten Tomatoes.
You know it.
A service I genuinely hate, and I think is a net negative.
It's kind of ruined opinions.
Okay, I've always wanted to like
hot take. This website has destroyed hot takes.
Yeah, I've always wanted, like, my dream project would be to like go back and like do an expose on like the history of internet film criticism, because I find it super interesting how it's changed from like 2000, like your early nostalgia critic, all the way to
angry
like,
guy in chair yells at movies.
To Soup's just straight up doing ads on TikTok, pretending it's film criticism. Right?
Have you seen Marvel movie? Yeah. Marvel movie so good.
Like, it's
Marvel movie so good.
And also, I think it's just interesting to track like how the culture shifted in like the 2000s. It was super cynical. Everything sucked.
Yeah.
And now everything is amazing. A movie comes out, it's negatively received, and 3 days later, people are like, actually, maybe this movie's pretty good. And I think Rotten Tomatoes specifically has ruined not only like why people choose to see certain movies, but also like how they think they should feel about them. Like, people will see, oh, it's got a positive score on Rotten Tomatoes, and then if they don't like it, like, they feel like they're wrong.
It's seen as the objectively correct opinion.
No, and it's especially bad because people don't know what the score is.
They don't know how it works.
They see 90% and they're like, oh, that's a high number. It must be really good. But
90% movie good.
If you don't know how Rotten Tomatoes works, it's kind of hard to explain in words, but the dumbed down version of it
works kind of the same way as the United States Electoral College.
I've seen people legitimately think that like Rotten Tomatoes, the website, is posting the reviews.
No.
I'm like, okay, no. So Rotten, if you don't know,
that's IGN. You're mixing it up with IGN.
So Rotten Tomatoes is a review aggregate website. They don't publish any of their own reviews. They don't really. They
do publish op-eds.
They publish
on
articles and op-eds and podcasts, but they don't. They none of the reviews, none of the tomato scores or reviews you see in Rotten Tomatoes wrote. They are reviews from other websites, everything from like major newspapers like your New York Times, your Wall Street Journal reviews, to like JoeSchmo.com movies, who has a Substack with 3 readers monthly that they allowed to be a Rotten Tomato critic.
To us.
Right, yeah. Well, we're not on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, but we could be.
We could probably apply, and honestly, they'd probably let us in.
Yeah, we got the numbers, baby.
I think we have to pay them, though, and I'm not doing that.
That's stupid.
But there are thousands of registered reviewers on Rotten Tomatoes that whenever they want, they post a review on Rotten Tomatoes, and they can give whatever scoring system they use. For instance, longtime movie critic Chris Stuckman gives on like a letter score, right? Like an A+, D-, something like that. Or it can be IGN, which gives everything a 1.5 to a 9.5 out of 10, right?
8 out of 10. Too much water.
There's thousands of different reviewers with 1,000 different rating systems that they all use individually. And what Rotten Tomatoes does is takes, okay, did they say it was a positive review or a negative review? And that's all it takes into account. Yeah. So you can have a movie with 10 reviews, right? Just to give you a small number. So 6 reviews were positive, 4 reviews were negative. 5 of those reviews were a 6 out of 10, and 1 was a 10 out of 10. All of those count the same.
They all are treated as a 10 out of 10.
If you gave it a 10 out of 10, that's a positive review. It's going to treat it as a positive review. If you gave it a 5.5 out of 10, and that's technically positive, it counts it as a positive. If you give it a rotten review of 4.9 or 1.1, counts the same.
So in statistics, there's a thing called an outlier, where a piece of data is so extreme, you cannot count it among the rest, and it must be. Rather than accounting for outliers, Rotten Tomatoes goes, let's just make everything as extreme as it can be, and then take the percent. Yeah. which is not how
red or green.
statistics works.
It's one or the other.
Yeah.
There's no range. So when you see a 70% Rotten Tomatoes score, that movie is not a 7 out of 10 in terms of quality, according to critics.
Yeah.
That is 70% of the people who posted reviews of that movie on Rotten Tomatoes, the website,
Gave it above a
gave it a
5.
positive review. Whatever that looks like to them.
Yeah.
If they give a movie a C- and they say that's positive, it's going to count as a positive.
Yeah.
If a different guy on his own website gives it a C- and he says that's negative,
That'll
that's
count
going
as
to count as a
negative.
negative.
It's made
There is
up.
zero uniformity. It's completely subjective and completely random. But people will see a movie with a 70%, right? And it doesn't matter if every critic that gave that movie a positive review gave it a 10 out of 10, and the rest of them gave it a 5 out of 10, right?
Mhm.
They see that 70%, they say that that movie's only a 70, right? And then they get to a movie in the 90s, all those positive reviews could be like barely positive,
See,
but they will see them as positive reviews.
And this is how you
a
know.
90, I think it's really
This
high.
is how you know it's wrong. To this day, Cuties, the weird pedophile Netflix movie, has an 87% positive score.
Now, a lot of people see that and say, oh, critics are giving that movie an 8.5 to a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
All those critics could have given it a 6 out of 10 or a D- or a 3 stars, and it counts all the same.
Yeah.
So Rotten Tomatoes is a extraordinarily flawed system.
Because it was never intended to be taken seriously.
No,
It was
how
created
started?
as a joke.
It was created by a guy in the late 90s, early 2000s. The website was created to review, for people to post the reviews of Jackie Chan movies.
Yeah.
That was it. And then it grew and grew and grew. It was, at one point, it was owned by Warner Brothers. Now I don't know who owns it, but it's now it's a massive company that has extraordinary influence over what people choose to see. And I think that's
There's a
really,
reason-
really bad.
There's a reason why if a movie gets a high Rotten Tomatoes
It's
score,
all over the
it
market.
will be in all the trailers, in all the magazines.
So I think Rotten Tomatoes has always been extraordinarily flawed. And I think it's a net positive.
Anyways, let's get into
I think
why
net
we have
negative.
definitive
So-
proof that they're evil now.
An article came out today, as of recording this, in Vulture. Journalist Lane Brown has alleged, or has basically said, there's evidence of a PR firm named Bunker 16 that has, for 5 years now, been paying certain Rotten Tomatoes critics, proofed critics, upwards of $50 per review just to give their movies positive reviews. So it's not the client's movies. The clients are taking on messed up words. The PR firm is taking on clients at studios. So they're taking on Neon as a client, or Disney, right?
Yes.
And then they are going to certain Rotten Tomatoes approved critics and paying them $75. They're saying, all right, say whatever you want about it in your review. Give it a positive score on Rotten Tomatoes. And they're like, okay, I like money. I like the corporations thinking I'm cool. I like going to premieres. I like getting to interview talent. I like getting free stuff in the mail. I'll give that movie a positive review.
Yeah.
And so they're essentially like under the table shifting the Rotten Tomatoes score artificially to make it look higher than it actually is, so that there's more attention to the film and people think it's better.
Yeah.
I have
Super cool.
I've always said, if you're gonna take in film criticism in your choice to see a movie, you should find specific reviewers that you like and that you are aware of their specific tastes and interests. That you have a basic idea of like what you like, what they like, and can kind of like figure out what you might like based on what they like.
Yeah,
right?
it's the same take, I think, is Video Game Donkey said this.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to find a guy who likes the same stuff you like,
so that
that he buys it first, and if he likes it, you'll probably like it, and if he doesn't like it, you probably won't like it. Otherwise, don't watch it. Don't watch that guy, because you know he doesn't like the things you like.
Opposite. Find a guy who hates everything you like and likes completely different things, and you know that if he likes something that you are interested in, you know it's really good and really will appeal to you. And if he hates it,
Yeah,
check
you
it
might
out.
try
He loves
anyway,
it.
yeah,
You
who
might-
knows?
Yeah, find people who you like can trust as objective critics. No one is completely objective, but find critics who like.
It's not about objectivity. It's about finding tastes similar
Yes.
to yours,
Yes,
and
thank
then
you. That's a better word.
using them as a filter for what you choose to spend money
We
on.
see a lot of things. Generally, we see too much
Yeah.
stuff. But when I choose to watch like a show, I don't really take into Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, okay, who's Red Letter Media like it? Does Dan Morrow like it? These are critics. Like,
and I don't have a lot of time to watch shows, so I go, is this from a thing that makes things I like? All right, I'll check it out.
All right.
Oh, that thing sucked. All right.
I think
next thing.
People who are like, oh, that trailer for that movie looks fun. What's its Rotten Tomato score? 75%? Nah, too low. I think that's
don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't let Rotten Tomatoes be the deciding factor, especially since they are obviously super. It's a
they are
system.
Very morally questionable.
Yes.
They're not a trustworthy organization.
Just as a basic rule of law, if the critic who is reviewing a movie has been invited as an ambassador of that film to its premiere, he's probably not in any way objective.
Or has, at the very least, in some way, been sponsored by a company with ties to the
If a company says, hey, if you say everything we make is good, we'll give you more free stuff, that guy probably a little bit skewed. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not saying that this happens more
I'm not
with
saying
TikTok creators than anyone else. However, there is no reason why Straw Hat Goofy is invited to every single premiere of every movie.
I don't think.
Why is he invited to every single movie premiere?
I don't see the connection. I don't see the connection.
Who happens to review pretty much almost everything pretty high.
This was a well-known thing. Collider, if you remember Collider back in like 2000.
The website,
2018.
the news articles.
Who was reviewing movies. Like, their people working for them were reviewing movies, doing full-on sponsored live podcasts from Denny's in promotion for the Denny's Solo, a Star Wars story tie-in event.
That's so cool.
Those people were probably not given their... In any way...
No, Tucker, they're just really passionate about Denny's.
They just really love Denny's and Solo
They
Star Wars
just really
story.
happen to really enjoy both Denny's and Star Wars, Han Solo, a Star Wars story, or whatever that movie was titled.
So this is a point. If at any point in the future this podcast for some reason grows to where we're invited to a premiere, I promise we will not go.
That's no. I want to go.
Now.
I want to. That's fine. That sounds fun. I want to go to a premiere.
Sam will go. I will not go.
I will go, and I will. Honestly,
You know what? No. Here's
I
what I'll
don't
say.
think that my opinion would really change that much, because like I already am so like cynical and desensitized to like brands doing things.
No, because what often happens is that they start off small and then they grow an audience and then they're invited to like their first premiere and they're thinking like, oh, I didn't like that so much they give it a bad review. And then the company's like, hey, if we keep inviting you to our stuff and you keep giving us bad reviews, we're not going to invite you to our stuff anymore. That's when it becomes a problem, because then they are highly incentivized to not necessarily say anything bad because they don't want to not go.
Make a second channel, and then we go. We put like in the subtitles. You know how you can change them? We put our real opinions in the sub.
Just like, you only listen to these. Don't read. Don't watch them. Just listen.
And then at the start of every episode, we go, guys, what do we watch? Subs, not dubs. Subs, not dubs, guys. And we'll call the channel Subs, Not Dubs. And then
this is genius. I like
they'll watch the video of us being like, this was the greatest movie of all time. The Spider-Man 20, best of all the Spider-Mans. And then in the titles it goes, I hated Spider-Man 20 so much, I actually murdered the entire creative staff. Like, we'll do that. That way we can get around them.
I think this is a good place to transition into our film that we're going to talk about.
Speaking of reviews.
Speaking of advertisements,
By
Gran
the way,
Turismo.
you know how cool Gran Turismo is? Guys, I cannot mention enough
Gran
times.
Turismo, by the way, is the most realistic driving
The most
simulator
accurate
on the
and
planet.
more real than real life, actually. Even
Actually,
though that
if you're a
doesn't make
Gran
sense.
Turismo better driver, if you're a Gran Turismo player, you're better at driving than real drivers.
That's for reals facts.
That's for real.
100% real.
And if you spend your entire life being a worthless husk and only playing Gran Turismo all day, you too did race cars.
You will become a race car driver.
That's right. Even though it only happened to one
Even
guy.
though it only happened once and it wasn't very
a marketing
successful, and they
stunt.
won't ever do it again.
No, they'll never do it again.
And
But
do you want to know how I know it wasn't very successful? Nobody knows who this guy was until they made a movie about him. I'm sure within the like racing scene, he's like relatively well known.
I'm sure also it was factored in.
But even among my friends who like really pay attention to like racing, they don't care about this guy.
I'm sure it was also factored in, hey, if we turn this Gran Turismo guy into a race car driver, we could probably make a movie about this.
Which no offense to the guy who
yeah,
does
no
the race
offense
car
to the
driver.
real guy.
He did nothing wrong.
You did nothing wrong.
I just think
in
that
fact,
it's
I admire you for
Yeah, he put the
doing
work
this.
in and he
That's
became
cool.
a real race car driver. That is a very inspiring story.
I am making fun of the company who obviously was thinking like, yo, you know what would be a good ad for Gran Turismo?
Having a Gran Turismo
Have a
player
Gran Turismo player drive a
car.
car. But anyway.
Because, and let me make this very clear. Gran Turismo actually is not as real as driving a real
no.
As
You know
much
how
as
I
the
know
film
that?
tries to make you believe
You know
it
how I
is.
know it isn't? It's because I've played Gran Turismo.
Yeah, and it, well, okay, now to be fair, you probably played it with a controller. That's not really.
Yes,
what
I
it's made
did.
for.
That's true. It's made for the
It's made for the.
PlayStation wheel add-on device that costs
It's
$60.
That's actually not a thing. They don't make that. They should, but they don't. It's weird. I don't know why they keep bringing it up. They don't make that. Anyway, no, you're supposed to have like a haptic, like you have to build a whole setup to like play the game
Get the true
as
gaming
intended.
experience. Not even. It's not a video game.
It's a simulator.
It's a
They
simulator.
say that multiple times.
Multiple times.
Every time someone goes, oh, I don't even remember the guy's name. Timmy, did you play your video games today? And he goes,
Like, no,
Mom,
Dad.
it's a simulator, not a video game. I'm like, okay, dude, shut up. This is Reddit behavior.
No, this is like the ultimate Reddit guy.
Yeah.
He's a Reddit kid through and through.
And I'm not, again, no hate to the real guy.
No,
because
I don't wanna be
I'm
mean.
assuming that in real life,
He was a
there
normal
would be
dude.
no reason for him to shill this
No,
hard for
there's
Gran
a
Turismo.
scene in this movie where he's at like a
He's
group
at like
get
a,
together with the girl he has a crush on, and the girl comes up to talk to him, and he immediately starts talking about how much he loves Gran Turismo, and how Gran Turismo is the most realistic drive simulator on the
and
planet.
she's just like,
It's like,
okay.
yeah, that's really cool. And I'm like, if that happened in real life, that girl would
She
get
would
up
leave.
instantly,
She'd be like, what's
and
wrong with
never
this
talk
person?
to that guy again.
Why does he keep talking about Gran Turismo? I don't even play that game's so boring.
That would be like, like as a grown adult, like go to like a
like a
puppet-
bar or something.
like a bar, and someone sits next to me. I'm just like, you ever heard of Minecraft? Minecraft
Minecraft
is the most realistic survival simulator.
I actually crashed a plane and survived for months based off of my Minecraft
I'm thinking if I play
knowledge.
Minecraft enough, they'll recruit me to be on
Like a Black Ops team where we have to survive in the jungle for
I play
15
so much
weeks.
Call of Duty. I think that West Point.
That's actually a way better comparison. You play,
I play Call of Duty, I'll get admitted to West Point.
Which, by the way, speaking of that exact thing, the government tried that.
Yeah, they did.
Do you remember when the U.S. Army
I
had a
remember they
Twitch
tried to
account?
appeal to gamers.
And they got bullied off of Twitch? I love it when things
I
happen.
love it when Army or really anyone in the government or corporations tries to understand internet
tries
culture.
to be cool.
Anyway,
Remember when they changed the CIA's logo and tried to be like hip and cool CIA?
yes, they're hip and cool.
Yes, we do foreign government destabilization, but pronouns, are they them? Take that, guy I murdered. Like, okay, cool, CIA, that's so cool.
You wear this pride flag, or are you cool with the genocide?
See, okay, see, here's my thinking, all right? If the drone is about to blow up your house, but it's painted like a rainbow, no, your
Pretty sure
house
that-
still blows up.
I'm pretty sure that's like a. Like
It's
an
the
Alex
more
Jones meme.
female drone pilots.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool, great. You still blowing people up though.
It's an anti-racism sticker on a nuke aimed at a bunch of foreigners.
Yeah, at a nuke destroying like a third world, village.
We are all about equality and accepting refugees. Now send the nuke to Syria.
Except for we're the reason why they're coming here.
now bomb Syria. Anyway, Gran Turismo: based on a true story is the full title. Directed by Neil Blomkamp, real director. Written by Zach Balin and Jason Hall. Zach Balin most recently was a co-writer on Creed 3 earlier this year. Jason Hall has done multiple films, probably most notable is American Sniper. So both have done, I would say, quality work in the past. Neil Blomkamp has definitely done quality work in the past, but not recently. Sam, what did you think of this commercial?
I think that if you were to change the dialogue where they just go, Gran Turismo, so good. I love Gran Turismo, best simulator, best video game. I love Gran Turismo. Then the movie would probably be like, fine.
This movie is okay.
This movie is just a...
I don't know if there's a version of this that is really any better.
There is. It's called Ford v Ferrari. It came out like 2 years ago.
That's true.
If you want to see this movie, just watch Ford v Ferrari,
Ferrari.
because it is this, but just like better in every way.
But in terms of like making a Gran Turismo movie,
Ford
like,
v Ferrari was an ad for Ford, and it was a way better ad because
Okay.
the movie was good.
but that was like a period piece
But it was an ad for Ford.
and Ferrari.
And for, well, not as much for
But okay, but if someone comes to you and goes, make a Gran Turismo movie, like you could do a lot worse, and you probably couldn't do a whole lot better than this.
That's true. I agree with that.
Like with what they had, right? With the cast they had, the budget they had,
Because
like
Gran Turismo
the
is
material they had to work with.
Gran Turismo
it
is
couldn't
not a
be much
game with a
worse.
story. And I
No.
think going for this angle was very smart.
Yeah, because if they were just trying to make like the most generic racing movie ever, it would be even worse than this. is.
However-
not that this isn't very generic, but it at least has like somewhat of a creative.
I could
entry point?
very much tell that a 70-year-old Japanese businessman was like, need to say Sony 5 more time, spot. And they did that a lot.
The PlayStation 5.
PlayStation 5, best console, say every time. Like, there was so many parts where
That guy should be wearing Nissan jacket.
Yeah.
Nissan pay a lot of money.
there were so many parts where I could tell that very, because it's not even, it's a very old-fashioned form of product placement almost.
Yeah,
I feel like most movies have kind of learned to try to integrate it naturally into like the situation.
sometimes
This
and then
one
sometimes
felt-
they get a Shazam too.
Sometimes you do that, but this felt very forced in a similar way that the Shazam 2 also felt very forced with its product placement. Whereas with a movie like Ford v Ferrari, that is still very much an ad for Ford, but it does not feel nearly as forced as this one does. It's
No.
constant, like,
There's not a bunch
Hey,
of people constantly
hey.
wearing.
say Gran Turismo's the best game. Okay, next scene. Your turn. Say Gran Turismo's the best game. And they have every character at some point say how cool Gran Turismo is. When
He's good.
when in reality, no one would ever behave or speak like that because that's something only a crazy person would
No
do.
one would ever do that in their entire life. No, I felt like when I say this movie's an advertisement, I don't just mean like it's the Gran Turismo movie. It's about how cool Gran Turismo is. I mean it as like it's very clean. It's very smooth. It's
It's like a PlayStation.
everyone is.
It feels like a
shiny,
PlayStation.
Everyone is shiny and young and good looking, and there's
There's no grit.
there happens to just be big Nissan banners in the background, and every logo is facing the camera.
And I
Like,
think
that's what I mean when I
I
say
think
it's an
that that
advertisement.
is, but see, that's what I'm saying. That's very much a Sony. That's an old-fashioned way of looking at advertising.
Yeah.
Like when you look at Ford, Ford has an image of sort of like rough and gritty.
Yeah.
So the movie they made was
It's
rough, and gritty.
gritty.
Sony is a tech company. They do sleek, fashionable minimalism.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nissan is a cool
So-
foreign car
yeah.
brand.
well, and Nissan is also a Japanese company.
There she goes.
And Japanese companies tend to be very old-fashioned with the way that they handle sort of their marketing, at least domestically. In America, they tend to be a little bit more. They tend to be willing to take some more risks, but at least domestically, it's very, very clean, very, very sterilized.
Yeah. This whole movie is clean and sterilized.
Yeah,
This is
and it
Every-
feels fake. It feels fake because of how clean and sterilized it is.
I don't know if I would say fake is the word. I just felt like played out. Like I've seen this before.
No, but like
I don't need to see it again.
if they made the same movie, but they didn't go PlayStation best console every 5 minutes,
Okay.
it would feel. It would at least feel a little bit more natural.
I get that. But I'm thinking like in terms of like story beats, characters. Like there was a couple things they could have done better, but I don't think in terms of that department, like as a movie, I don't think it necessarily did anything wrong. There was stuff it could have done way better.
That's what I'm saying. It's not wrong.
That
It
it
just
didn't
felt
do.
forced.
Yeah, that is definitely for. There's literally a scene where Orlando Bloom's character
He's giving a presentation.
he's giving a presentation about how cool Gran Turismo is, and that's the whole scene.
Yeah. And,
Like-
and with the presentation that because he's trying to convince Nissan to do this whole thing.
Yeah.
And
His scheme.
he, instead of trying to convince them to do the thing, he just talks about how cool Gran Turismo is, which doesn't make any sense in the context of what's going on.
This this whole movie, like Orlando Bloom's character in general, I didn't really know what they were trying to do with his character. Well, they try to play him as like the doesn't care about people, just cares about money. Like,
but then sometimes he does.
Initially, right? And then it's obvious that they were like, well, Orlando Bloom is like a charismatic, likable actor, so we can't have him play like a scumbag.
Yeah, so he's like a...
So like the script treats him like a scumbag, but like
he plays it like a nice
not
guy.
acting like that. He's playing it like a nice dude, as like a guy who just like is really encouraging. What's his face?
And then they have the lead, the creator of Gran Turismo in the movie too. He doesn't say a word, I don't think.
No, I felt
he just stands behind Orlando Bloom and is like,
"Yep, I approve.
I do. I do like this. This is one of those things I do like." But I was just like, "What? This is so weird."
I do think most of the cast is pretty good. David Harbour is always great in the right role. It's a good role that fits him. He's got all the funny lines. He's carrying around a Sony Walkman.
I think he was the most
fun
Walkman character to watch.
Yeah, the lead guy is fine.
The lead guy's good. I liked him.
The character's a dweeb.
The character is very limited by his dweebiness, but he's like the actor.
But I don't think that's the actor's fault. The love interest is just a nothing character.
Non-existent.
Disappears from the movie.
I think she's literally in 2 scenes.
She disappears from the movie for about probably like 50 straight minutes, and then she's
at the first part where she's introduced at that party.
And then she doesn't show up again.
We assume that they have a relationship after that.
He hasn't even like done like the competing race to get into the Gran Turismo Academy.
Yeah.
And then so he meets her, and we don't see her again until after he's already signed a contract.
Until he's gonna do his last race, and he like flies her out to come watch.
That's it. There's literally probably, I don't know, but it's probably about 45
They are on
minutes.
screen together, I think 3 times.
Yeah, no, the whole relationship is nothing. It feels like the studio was like, well, there needs to be a romantic subplot.
Actually, there doesn't, though.
You could cut that whole thing out.
Don't do that. Why would you do that?
This movie has like 3 separate points it could stop and just keeps going.
You know how cool the Sony Walkman is?
So this is a spoiler.
You know how cool the Sony
Walkman's
Walkman
pretty
is?
cool, Sam.
You know they still make those?
Have you ever eaten Pringles? Those are pretty cool too.
You know what's even cooler than the Sony Walkman?
A Nissan Altima?
5 and
PlayStation 5 is pretty cool.
It's so realistic. The brakes they're more realistic in the game than in real. There's a part in the movie where he's driving the car.
Oh, so this is basically spoilers, but the movie's been out for like a month at this point.
There's a part in the movie where this is not really spoilers, where he's driving the car and he like crashes into a wall. And he goes, the brakes are they're not braking right. The brakes are messed up. And the coach is like, nah, you're an idiot. There's no way those brakes are goofed up. I drove the car this morning. The brakes are fine. And then like later on, he's talking to the mechanic and the mechanic is like, right, the brakes were messed up. And then the coach is like, whoa. That's a real scene.
Yeah. In terms of like, because I was thinking like it's pretty well directed throughout. Neil Blomkamp does a pretty good job. It's fairly well paced. He gets good performances from the actors. The driving sequences are well shot.
Honestly, I think everything is good except the script.
Yeah, well, I think the script is just super bare bones.
It is.
It's got
just
no personality.
It's an ad read.
It's got no personality.
This was a very high budget ad read.
David Harbour gives somewhat of an identity to this. But other than that, it's just super bland. It's like eating white bread.
Just watch the trailer, and you'll get the whole experience.
No, in terms of the movie having like 4 different endpoints. So there's the part where he graduates the academy and like competes in his big race and gets his contract, right?
Yeah.
That's the point where it could have ended number 1. And then there's the point where he gets in a big wreck and kills that person and then chooses to race again. And he literally drives like into the sunset with David Harbour. And you're like, okay, that's the end of the movie.
And then it
just keeps going.
And then it goes, actually, big race time.
And then it decides to actually end on like the big race at the very end, where they have to race to show that sim drivers are serious. And they
By the way, there have been, I don't think, any other sim drivers.
And then they try to
since this
act
guy.
like that's like a big thing.
Like there's discrimination against sim drivers.
Like that fighting for the sim drivers has in any way been like a plot point or like a theme.
Or like, that's like a
Or is
movement at all.
relevant.
Or is like, that's a real thing. People fight.
Well,
no one's doing
It's
that.
not relevant to the rest of the story. Our character, like overcoming like his fear that he can't be a real driver and being in this accident that like he blamed himself for, like that, him overcoming that is the storyline.
His character arc was over.
Them trying to like force the fight for the sim drivers thing, like just ham-fistedly in the third act. Like that does not belong there. It should have just ended with him choosing to like get back. Because like what you do, right, is you see him compete in his first real race. He gets in a wreck, right?
Yeah.
And then he chooses to race again. And as he drives off on the track into the sunset, you pull up the line of text and you put what's so-and-so has competed in however many races, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, he came back and we raced in all those races. Like, that's where you end it. The movie just keeps going.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like...
Not that the race scene is particularly bad. It just doesn't need to be there. Other than to have a big race scene at the end.
I think it is
wins.
important to, like, show for the character, like, he won the biggest race.
But he didn't win. He got third place.
Yeah, but he didn't want to win like first. Did he win first place in the movie?
He won third place.
Yeah, well, he wanted to get on the podium, right? Which was that was the big deal.
That was his video game.
And that was also tied. Okay, his character arc ended when he chose to keep racing.
Yes,
David Harbour's character arc ended when he podiumed at the race.
I guess
Because his big thing was that he was also a race car driver. He also like killed like another person racing, and then he quit forever.
He saw a person die.
No,
did he kill someone?
He either caused another driver to die
He's too
or something like
racetrack.
that.
He has a murder.
He'd accidentally killed someone.
Be in jail.
Okay, that's a little much. But yeah, he had also accidentally killed someone during a race, and then he quit forever. He never wanted to race again. Fair enough. But he did it like right before he was about to go and race at the number one most famous race course.
Yeah.
And for his character arc to finish, his protege has to beat the race.
I guess. But David Harbour's also not the main character.
That's true.
And again, showing that he again competed in all those races after that kind of like wraps that up anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but the racing sequences are pretty well done. You can tell what's happening. They kind of
they go.
he tries to incorporate the video game thing in sort of an interesting way. It's a neat little visual flair. Help it kind of stand out.
Yeah,
That all works.
they do the
Gamer Vision.
Yeah,
I call it
Gamer
Gamer Vision Pro.
it's the UI for Gran Turismo shows up in his
shows
head
up.
sometimes.
Love that.
He's like, I can see the lines from the game.
I wish I could do that, like walking to school.
You turn on like Batman Detective Vision.
No,
mode
it
in
like
your
turns
life,
into Mario.
and you just start jumping on
Start
people.
jumping on things. I've entered gaming mode.
like in the Doom movie, where it just goes first.
just turns
into
to
Doom
first
for 30
person.
seconds.
Yeah, it's like that, but like Minecraft. When I go camping and it all just
Whenever
turns
that
to
Minecraft movie comes out, which it never will.
Jason Momoa's gonna be in it.
Oh, he won't, because that movie will never come out.
It's gonna happen now, 100%. Because Mario was a big hit, and now they're gonna fast track all the video games.
Yeah, but
If it does, it's gonna make $1 billion, easy.
I think the Minecraft movie will make $1 billion.
Same, it's Minecraft.
What's the story of Minecraft?
It doesn't matter what the story of Minecraft is. It has Minecraft in the title.
Yeah, but
You think it? Okay.
honestly, okay, you know what?
The Barbie movie became a thing, right? Because it's
Yeah.
Barbie. The Mario movie became a thing because it's Mario. You think Minecraft, right? Which is essentially like the holy Bible of internet culture. You think that becoming a movie is not going to make $1 billion?
I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying, like, I feel like it's harder for Minecraft.
You cannot
than
write
those
the
other two
history of the
things.
internet without several chapters on Minecraft.
That's true. But at the moment, Minecraft is like at its all-time, no one cares of all time.
But the movie's going to bring it back. The movie's going to spike it all up again. It's going to be like PewDiePie's Minecraft series again. Nothing will ever beat early PewDiePie Minecraft.
Honestly, if they did a movie adaptation of that, it'd probably be better than whatever they're doing.
Who knows what
I want to see an
the
adaptation
Napoleon Dynamite guy is going to direct
where
it.
PewDiePie goes, sheep shop, water sheep, and that's the whole movie.
I would clap. That would be the only... If at any point in the Minecraft movie,
They have water
They
sheep.
torture a water sheep named Jib.
Jeb the water sheep.
Or there's a dog named Sven.
They gotta have a dog named Sven.
Or a horse named Jurgen. And I will clap. That is, I give you the McDonald Media approved.
It'll just get an
clap
automatic
approved
10 out of 10.
timed.
They do any of those things, automatic 10
Automatic 10
out
out of 10. Because you know how I hate people clapping and cheering in movies, right?
Yeah.
You're allowed to clap at PewDiePie Minecraft movie references.
Like when Han Solo is on the Millennium Falcon? No.
No.
When Jurgen shows up in the Minecraft movie, round of applause.
Be there. 10 out of 10. You'll be there no matter what.
What if PewDiePie has a cameo?
I don't think he would do it. I think they'll probably
he
offer it.
definitely would. Why wouldn't he do it?
I don't know.
I think he definitely
He probably would. I don't know. But like, what would his cam like in like PewDiePie would show
What
up?
if he just what if there's like a villager and he just like voices the
Well, it would be live action. We'd have to like be the guy. Unless
I mean, I don't know how they do it.
I guess they could green screen it.
Is it oh wait, are they gonna do like Jumanji where they go into the video game?
Maybe? I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. We don't know what the story.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like what on earth?
Well, they
are
released
doing?
a synopsis like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
for,
but we
like,
know
what
that's not gonna.
Well,
be what it is.
that version of the script is, and then there's been
There's-
five.
yeah,
different
there's no
scripts
way
since
that
then,
that's
so who knows
still
what
what
it
it
is
is.
now? Because it was like just like a. There's a girl named Alex from a village, and the Ender Dragon attacks the village, and she wants to kill the Ender Dragon. And, like,
That's
that was
fine.
gonna be
That's
the plot.
probably better than. What
But
we're
also
doing
now Jason Momoa is going to be the lead, so it's not going to be Alex anymore.
Well, is he the lead? I thought it was
Yeah,
still
he's going to
about
be
the girl.
Steve.
And
He's
he
going to
was
be
just a
Steve. He's going to be the
character.
main guy.
Well, what if
If Jason Momoa is the lead dude, he's going to be the face of it. There's no way he's going to be playing like second fiddle to like
I mean like
Dakota Fanning.
I mean like in when he was in
Not-
Dune and he was second fiddle to
But that was like a giant ensemble piece. Like Jason Momoa is like the face of this thing. Like he's the star of it.
I don't know.
I think he's playing Steve. He's playing the Minecraft guy.
Is he playing Steve? though?
Yeah, who else would he be playing? There's two people in
No, there's
Minecraft, and one's a
nine-
girl
there's
and one's a
nine
boy.
now.
But they all have the same name.
No, they have different. Remember, they made all
Oh,
those
they
new guys.
did. Yeah, I forgot about that.
They got a bunch whose names no one knows because people stopped caring
It's
about
Steve
Minecraft.
and Alex. It's always been. It was Steve and Alex for 15 years. That's
It
all
was just
is.
Steve for like 5 years.
It was just Steve for many years.
and then Alex came out, and everyone was like, you know what?
There's a
We
girl
dig
now.
Alex.
Cool.
Nice. And then they added like 20 more guys, and everyone was like, I don't know who these people
I don't.
are.
I'm not gonna remember their. I don't care.
They
enough to
should have
remember
added
their
them one
names.
by one.
You know, I remember Steve. I remember Steve because it's the most generic name ever.
Yeah, because Steve is supposed to be like Emmett from the Lego movie.
He is
Or
nothing.
he is just
then.
like a blank
he
slate
is a.
avatar for you to
He is
inhabit.
a. He's an empty husk of nothingness.
Yeah, he's not a person.
You are Steve. Steve is. You make Steve.
See
a man.
that's why I have. So okay, with the Mario movie, Mario also
has a-
has like basically no story.
But he has a personality.
But Mario has a characterization. Like
yeah, like
Mario
not
has a
lot.
personality, not a whole.
Yeah.
He's not super complex.
Like all the Mario characters do.
Yeah.
Like Luigi is scared.
Yeah,
like, that's a
Luigi's
character
kind of
trait.
cowardly. Mario is like sort of a do-good, Boy Scout type.
Peach
character.
doesn't really have one, but they gave her one in the movie.
Peach is like a girl. That's her personality.
In the movie, she's like courageous and like.
Yeah, she has a
strong,
character in the movie.
right?
I'm
Yeah.
talking about in the game. She's just kind of a girl.
Bowser is mean.
Bowser's a mean guy. Like they have characterizations.
Uh-oh.
Steve has nothing.
No,
Mans just goes,
he blinks.
and that is like as complex as his thoughts
I
go.
can't wait for them to ham-fistedly like try to recreate that sound.
The villagers, who I would argue are the closest thing in Minecraft to characters, max out intellectually at going, "Her, herp, her," and that's it. That is the extent of their complexity. So like, there is nothing to go off of.
Well, Sam, that allows you free room to do it. What you want to do
But when that's the case, usually what they do
is something dumb.
is something dumb.
It's true.
Gran Turismo.
Anyway, we got very sidetracked.
Let's talk about Ahsoka.
Okay, well, would you recommend Gran Turismo?
No. Watch Ford v Ferrari instead.
That's true. Stay home and watch Ford v
What's it
Ferrari.
on? It's
Probably on
It's
Hulu.
on Prime or something. Oh,
It's
no. Find it. You'll find it.
and tell your dad to watch it.
Your dad will love
Your
it.
dad will love
It'll
it.
be your dad's favorite movie.
Great dad movie.
Just like
Top Gun Maverick.
Top Gun Maverick. By the way, this is a Nintendo.
No,
I
that
just
is-
want to make that clear.
Yes, not for any specific reason. We just feel the need.
I gotta bring it closer just to make sure.
Yep.
That's a Nintendo.
Yes, probably should have. It's fine now.
We make no political endorsements on this show.
Not on this show. Only for our boy Vermin Supreme.
Only Vermin is our guy.
Vermin is our guy.
Is he even running this year?
Who knows?
Better be even still alive.
If not, we're gonna write him in.
We'll write him in.
We'll write him in.
The McDonCast officially endorses
Vermin
Supreme as president for
2024. All right. Let's real quick. Let's touch on Ahsoka episodes 3 and 4. There's nothing to say about episode 3 because barely anything happened.
There's some Purgles, which are cool. You get to see them in live action for
the what's?
Purgles.
The big whales. Yes.
They go to a red forest planet from every Star Wars fan project.
They fight a mediocre space battle.
That's everything that happens in episode 3.
Jason Syndulla shows up.
He's
a little kid.
He's a kid.
Got green hair.
His hair is not as green as it was before.
Well, he's a real kid and not a cartoon, so I understand that.
Well, they could have dyed his hair. Well, Sabine's hair is purple.
But her hair isn't as purple as it is.
It's pretty purple.
Well, okay, but in the cartoon show, it's like flat.
I'm not talking about its texture. I'm talking about the color.
I know, but it's easier to like have something be a bright color when it's just
she had bright orange
like
hair
a
too,
solid helmet.
Like her hair was way more orange in this.
It's hard to get hair to be a neon color on camera. It's harder to do that in real life than it is to do in a cartoon show.
I'm sure multi-billion-dollar
I
company
don't really
Disney,
care. It's
if
green enough.
Could green up his hair.
It's green enough, Sam.
I'm not saying it's a bad. I'm just saying it's not as green as it was before. That's all I said.
Everyone else is like, this Star Wars is really gone to hell. We're like, his hair is a little bit less green.
I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter to me at all.
Anyway,
I'm just saying it's.
Nothing happened in episode 3.
I don't even like his design in Rebels. I thought it was a little bit creepy. I like it better in this. I thought his hair was too green in the original
It doesn't
Rebels.
make a whole lot of sense.
Who?
So there's a green woman with big tentacles on her head, right?
Mm-hmm.
She is a kid with a normal dude. And it turns into a normal dude, but his hair is green.
Hang on. Because there is precedent for this. Jek and
Yes,
Shira.
the clone. I know who you're talking about.
And his kids
look actually like a merger of
Twi'lek
people
with human faces.
Right, exactly.
Which would make sense since the mom is a Twi'lek.
Yes.
So, given what we know about genetics, where the dad contributes like the gender, but the majority of the build of the human comes from the mom, that would make sense. But in this, it's the opposite.
See, I think when they were animating that Rebels finale, they knew.
They forgot.
No, I think they knew that eventually they were going to do all of this in live action. And they were like, just to plan ahead, that we don't have to put a bunch of makeup on like an 8-year-old, make him look like a dude, give him a wig, make it easier on all of us.
I think they could have done a Twi'lek child if they wanted.
Anyway, good for that kid though. He doesn't have to go to a makeup chair for 6 hours and have
does make it easier.
Big, giant, inconvenient tentacles glued to his head, like Mary Elizabeth Winstead does.
Yeah, the tentacle. The 2 of the 3 like main characters having like big head tentacles.
Yeah,
I feel like it doesn't like it. It's like it doesn't ruin the immersion or anything, but it's like I feel bad for the actors.
Yes,
for having to wear these giant
and Mary
rubber
Elizabeth
things.
Winstead has to wear like those contacts. Those big bright green like.
Well, I mean that's like a lot of actors wear contacts. That's crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a lot of makeup though.
It is a lot of makeup
because she has to be painted green.
She is painted green.
All right. Anyway.
Although to be fair, the first Twi'lek in Star Wars, the one that was like Jabba's slave, her whole body was green. So she saved a little bit.
She went and
since, her character wears clothes, which is new for the Twi'leks.
And she had to come back when they filmed the special editions like 10 years later to film that music video in Return of the Jedi.
The 6 girl?
Yeah. Because remember they did the special edition, they added the dance number.
I thought that was just something they cut from the. I don't think that they re-record that.
Added that whole thing, remember? Because the guy is CGI in that.
Well, they added the CGI parts, but I think her part was already just something they had cut from the original one.
They brought everyone back to that scene.
Then why wasn't she like way older?
She was only like 10. It was only like 10 years later. It was in the.
Oh wait, that still would have been like 20 years. No, because it came out in
the special editions originally.
Yeah, episode 4 came out in 76.
They originally came out in like 1996, and then they touched them up later for a second special edition. Anyway, so episode 4 is where all the things
But
happen.
this is the first time where a major Twilight character in live action wears clothes.
Okay,
Because
yes.
in Boba Fett, the two like
I'm sure there's more
the
in
two like
the
male
sequels.
slave ones also like never wore shirts.
Don't add us. I'm sure there's like a Twilight in the background of episode 7 that I don't remember.
I'm talking about major front on that you can see,
Yes.
like from just looking at the screen.
Anyway, this is not in any way
I
important
just thought it was funny.
or
I'm
relevant.
just pointing out because it's funny.
Okay, anyway, so episode 4 is where things happen. They got to get the map.
Oh
because
boy,
they're
do
gonna,
things happen.
They're gonna use. Okay, they're gonna use the map to go to the galaxy to find where the evil man.
We got to talk about the
is.
galaxy.
So, I'm going to say this episode was a dramatic increase in quality.
Yes.
It had tension. There was some pacing.
It was directed by the Into the.
It was directed by one of the Into the Spider-Verse guys. Peter Ramsey, I think, was the one who did this episode. I actually went I realized at the end of the episode, I was like, hey, I'm interested to see where this goes.
That transition that they did, that's, I think, the best transition in any piece of Star Wars.
Oh, the pan?
Well, yeah, where it like goes from the
cool.
beach and it slowly pans and it slowly turns into the world between worlds. I guess that was so cool.
This episode I'd say, is really, really solid. It has one flaw that it really took me out of it. Get to it, but I would say in terms of like actually being like an entertaining, well-paced, actually moved the story forward.
And oh boy, does it like make you want to see the next one.
Oh yeah, it's got stuff that's like, hey, again, this one made me go, I wonder where this is going. And I can't say that for any of the first 3 episodes, any of the Mandalorian season 3, or any of the Book of Boba Fett.
I think this is the most hyped I've been for a what happens next since the ending of the first season of The Mandalorian.
And it's not the big thing they throw in at the end. Spoilers, it's an episode.
Don't say it. Yeah, we'll talk about spoilers.
Okay. It's not necessarily like the big character that shows up.
Oh, that's pretty big though.
That's pretty big though. That's not what excites me. It was like the other kind of stuff. It was like the actual like story implications.
So much happens at the end of the 4th episode.
But yeah, I was just gonna say, the actors in the show are really good.
Everyone's perfectly cast.
I really wish they kind of had some better material, especially Rosario Dawson.
Like
for the Ahsoka show, she has so little like times to like focus on her character.
Her character is like so well established at this point, though.
I know, but it's the Ahsoka show.
It's not. It's the Ahsoka show in name only.
Well, then that's the problem with the show.
Okay, but here's why that's not a problem. What is the best Star Wars show?
Andor.
What is the biggest reason no one saw it?
It's about Andor.
Yeah, it's called Andor. If they had called it like
Rebel Buddies Unite.
If they had called it like Star Wars Subterfuge, something like spy related, I guarantee it would have had way more views.
Sabotage.
Yeah, that sounds way cooler than Andor.
That's true.
So instead of calling it Star Wars Hera,
they should have called
Star Wars Sabine, whatever.
Should probably be called Star Wars.
Sabine is pretty much has the.
Oh, by the way, I know we brought this up last time. Talked about the show, but I think it's very funny that the Everything Is Too Woke crowd has been complaining that this show is about all female characters, and that this is somehow like
I didn't even see
a woke piece of like this is being like forced to be about all female characters. I'm like, okay, one.
You know who's in
the name of this? Okay, one. The name of the show is Ahsoka. So obviously,
woman character.
She's gonna be the lead, just like how Andor, the lead is the guy named Andor. So that's point 1. 2, you're acting like all of these characters are like a new hyper feminist.
They've been in
Ahsoka's been a character since 2008,
and people hated Ahsoka at first for that exact reason. And then after a while, people were like, "Hey, wait a minute, cool, actually." And then same thing happened when Rebels came out, although not nearly to the same because Rebels wasn't as popular. But Rebels also had a little bit of the just Sabine, and then after a while, people were like, "Hey, you know what? Actually, pretty cool."
So there's that, and then 2, it's not like the movie is like trying to find ways around not having any major like male hero characters in it.
Kind of all missing.
They just happened like these are just the ones that happen to be there.
We just picked. It was just kind of a funny situation.
Yes,
that the
I'm
show
sure.
Ended up this way.
I'm sure when Dave Filoni in 2018 was writing the series finale for Star Wars Rebels was like, guys, when we make the follow up in 5 years, I'm gonna put all these women in the lead roles,
Like
so
no,
I can
those
be
are
really
just
woke.
like the ones that are still
No,
around.
they just happen to be here at this
Because
time.
Kanan
Is big and
spoilers,
dead.
got exploded.
Mm-hmm.
Ezra shot off
lost
into
in
space
space.
somewhere.
And
Thrawn also in
lost
space
in
somewhere.
space somewhere.
But we got Balin Skull, and he's cool.
I mean,
He's sick.
Zeb is.
Marok was an absolute
Who knows what
nothing
Zeb is up
burger.
to?
I don't know why they have. I don't even know why they did that. But Marok was around.
Zeb's at a bar.
Zeb's doing. Well,
not in
isn't
the
he?
show.
He's on his own planet, right? He went back home.
Remember he was in Mando season 3.
Yeah, but he could have just been chilling there.
He's probably gonna pop up in this.
He'll probably show up at the finale.
Yeah, when they get everyone back together.
But he's also
Yes, he's a big
he's a big
cartoon.
CGI purple man.
That costs money, and as you see in this episode, this is a very cheap operation they got run over here.
And they spent all the money. They spent all the money on this one,
Uh-huh.
and presumably episode 5 since they're releasing it in theaters.
Yes, they're doing a special one-night only event in theaters for an episode that is, without credits, about 25 minutes in length.
I thought no, it's 49 minutes with credit.
Let me
That's what it said when
Computron.
that's what it said on Twitter.
How long is Ahsoka?
Or sorry,
Episode
on
5.
X.com.
38 minutes.
38 minutes? I saw 49.
42. Hold up. Episode 4 has a runtime of 42. Bloop glop. Looking on the internet for information. Boop bop boop da boop bop boo. Riddle your screen. 38 minutes long.
That's what
28,
this
28 minutes in total without credits or
so will
titles.
roughly be 38 long, so without the long credit.
Or like the
28
recap. So probably like a half
I could have
hour.
sworn I saw somewhere that
That's too short. These episodes should be longer. Anyway, or there should be less episodes. If you don't have enough time, if you don't have enough stuff to fill 40 minutes for an 8-episode show, it should be 5 episodes.
honestly, I don't think there's been a lot of wasted time.
There's no just straight up we need to kill time Mandalorian type stuff going
Yeah,
on.
like okay, oh my god, okay, so Brendan and he hasn't seen the Mandalorian yet. He's watching Ahsoka because he saw all of Rebels, but somehow he missed Mandalorian.
That's like the reverse of every other person.
Yeah, I know, super weird. But so we've been like watching our way through Mandalorian, and as we rewatched it, I realized, oh man, there sure are a lot of episodes where his ship breaks and he has to fix the ship for a whole episode. In season 1, there are 3 episodes
Where my ship
where
breaks.
the ship breaks and he has to go fix the ship.
It's like the 70s Incredible Hulk TV show.
Yeah, where
Where like he just happens to wind up in another small town this week, and there's more trouble a brewing.
yeah, it's
It's like Columbo.
yeah, it's very much it gets to the point where it's almost a joke, like how often his ship just breaks and that's the
Like a
episode.
beat up old Cadillac.
Or like who could forget that one episode in season 2 where he gets to go get the eggs and then
From the Frog Woman.
then his ship crash on ice and then he leave ice and then
Wasn't that like the
egg.
second episode of that season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, there's okay, now that I think about it, there are 2 episodes of The Mandalorian where his mission is to go get an egg.
The first episode.
Because there's the one with the Mudhorn, where he's got to get the egg from the Mudhorn cave,
And so there's the Mudhorn, there's the frog.
and there's the frog eggs.
And if you count retrieving Baby Yoda's little pod, you say that pod's an egg.
I don't count that as egg.
It's shaped like an egg.
It is egg shaped.
I'd count it.
Arguably
3 egg episodes.
Arguably 3 egg episodes.
Arguably 3 find an egg episodes. John, I think you need to change up your breakfast.
Maybe eat like some bacon.
I think John is just like just cranks out these scripts so fast. He just like starts accidentally writing in like
just goes egg.
Well, he just like
egg.
he just starts like accidentally writing. You know how if you're like ever trying to like write, like fill out a write a paper or something,
And you need to come up with
and you hear
extra
like
stuff.
conversations going in the background, you kind of like drift
You
off.
accidentally
You
type
accidentally
that
start
word.
writing the conversation down on the
Yeah.
paper. It's like that. He's cranking out these scripts so fast.
And his
It's
wife
like,
asked him
his
what he
wife
wanted
asked
for
him if he wanted
breakfast.
eggs. He accidentally writes eggs 8 times in the script. He's like, well, this is due
Well,
tomorrow.
you know what? Yeah, eggs
I don't
it
have
is.
time to fix it. So
Eggs-
the
that-
episode's
eggs
about
is the
eggs
plot this
now.
week.
Yeah. It's that.
All right, but what were we talking about?
So, really good episode. I thought it was well paced. It moved the story forward. Can we get into spoilers now? Because that's really all I have. Okay. So, that Inquisitor guy, he gets big murdered, and then he vanishes into dust.
Which is the second time
What's
we've seen
going
the Inquisitor
on
do
with
this.
that?
Why are all the Inquisitors poofing?
Is he a forced?
I don't think it was a
Force
Force
minion?
Ghost thing. Okay, so there are species in Star Wars that are gas in a containment suit. The most notable one is in the prequels. You remember that green guy with the big goggles? He's also in a couple episodes of Clone Wars.
Oh,
and he's
the
got
dubstep guy.
Yeah, he's made of gas, and he lives in that containment suit. On his home planet, the way that the atmosphere is structured, his body doesn't fly apart. But on most normal habitable planets, their bodies like fly apart. So some characters in Star Wars are gas in a containment suit. I assume that's what Marok was. Some version of that.
I think there might be some, because it's made. They make a big deal out of it. Like they all stop the fight to look at it,
and he goes, his gas comes flying out of his
which makes
suit.
me think it's like some sort of like force power.
Could be,
or like a dark side thing. I think it's going to be revealed that like the Balin Skull has learned how to make like force goons, like goons made out of force energy.
What if this guy
who have red lightsabers and fight?
So like Naruto shadow clones?
Yes, exactly like Naruto shadow.
Why would he be an Inquisitor then? That's what that is.
Because they had the Inquisitor suit lying around from the show.
Why he got the Inquisitor?
They had a bunch of those props lying around from the Obi-Wan Kenobi
That seems like a stretch.
He's gotta be a Sith-looking guy.
Here's my theory. What if he's related to the Inquisitor that we see in Tales of the Jedi, who notably also poofed upon being killed?
I think that would be kind of a stretch to like have the audience remember.
Okay, but it's happened twice now. Both two characters in Ahsoka-related things. That to me seems way more likely than Balin Skull learned shadow clone jutsu and has shadow clones that require containment suits.
So the thing about that is like expecting people to watch Rebels or be familiar with Rebels is one thing. Expecting them to remember an episode of Tales of the Jedi is another.
See, I don't think that he is like literally that guy or like specifically related to that guy. I'm just saying like the same species maybe.
Species. I don't know.
Because they both had the masks.
Make it like if it was just like a thing that happened to some of the aliens, like they wouldn't have made a big deal out of it because they probably like the fight stops so that they can like take that in.
Well, but it might just because they wanted it to look cool. That's just a cool thing.
I think it's going somewhere.
I don't think
they would have. It's something.
Because
otherwise they wouldn't.
What would that do? Like what did that do?
I don't think it's a power. I think it's like a consequence of like them using dark force magic. The Force is nonsense.
Do you think maybe
they can just introduce that? It doesn't matter.
Oh, you know what?
Maybe they're giving themselves like art.
No.
I got it. I know where they're going. Okay, you know how in The Mandalorian, right? Because this is all linked together. You know the Mandalorian? Moff Gideon's trying to give himself force powers with all those clones?
Yes.
Okay. You know how they make a big deal in the show about how Sabine has no force powers?
Mm-hmm.
I think the villains or Thrawn found a way to like give force powers to people. And you know how like there's even a scene in the show where they're like, Sabine, you should save Ezra. I think there's going to be a show. All right, well, I think Thrawn's going to be like giving his goons force powers, and the consequence of like
he's going to be giving them force powers from a galaxy away. That work?
Or maybe okay. Just hold on. I don't know the logistics of it because we're halfway through.
I have a way better theory.
Think about it. No. Because they make a really big deal that Sabine has no force powers as a Padawan. So I think there's going to be a scene.
Well, she hasn't trained yet.
Well, I think there's going to be a scene. No, because even Hu Yang, the robot, says like you have no metacalorians, like you have a super low force count. So I think what's going to happen is like the evil bad guys are going to be like they're going to try to turn Sabine. They're going to try to turn her evil. They're going to be like, Sabine, if you want to save Ezra, because they're going to have like Ezra and they're like torture her back or whatever. Like, you want to save Ezra, you got to use your force powers. But the only way you're going to use your force powers is you use our evil artificial force. I'm just thinking.
That seems like a lot.
It seems like a lot, but it seems like a thing they would do.
Here's what I'm thinking, and I'm gonna bring some evidence, bring some facts and
boo.
Logic. All right,
boo facts, boo.
Let's think here. What is Morgan?
a wizard woman from the King Arthur.
From where in Star Wars?
Who?
Morgan.
You one of the witches?
In the Ahsoka show, she's the
Is she
main
witch
villain.
woman? She's the witch woman.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it says she one of the witches.
Yes. Okay. From where?
Doesn't she have a weird name?
Her name's Morgan.
No, she has a weird last name.
I'm not talking about her last name right now. That's unrelated.
Elsbeth. See, that's a
Sure.
witch name.
Where is she from?
Dathomir?
Yes.
I do think it's probably a Dathomir thing.
Now, let's play Connect the Dots.
They have witch magic.
When was the last time we saw a non-force powered character get force powers?
Oh, Savaja Press.
Savaja Press. What happened?
Ooh, she's using her magic.
What
Okay,
happened
see,
when Savaja
that's
Press
a merge.
died?
That's a merger. See,
What
we're
happened when Savaja
connecting.
Press died?
He did a big miss.
He did a big miss. See, I'm
See,
putting the
well,
things together
I think
now.
we're both right. I think we're both right. It's a merger of the two.
Yeah.
I think the witch lady is doing that to people. That's how they're giving the people.
But I think it might, because that required a whole
Because
ceremony.
Moff Gideon failed to do his clones. I think Thrawn is smart. He knows we use magic to do it. And that's why I've recruited the Night Sisters in the first place, or at least this one, because she's like the only one.
See, and
there's
again,
still going to be
I
that
think-
scene where they say, Sabine, use our witch magic to save Ezra. You'll turn
now I
evil."
do think we're stretching a bit here. We're branching out into some weird territory, but also there's a weird thing happening.
No, I think that's definitely where they're
Now
going.
hang
with
on.
it.
Who had the map before the show started?
In that cave?
It was in the temple. Who
Yeah.
built the temple?
I don't remember. Was it-
Dathomir witches built the temple. So, who has the weirdest? Who has the weirdest force powers in Star Wars?
It's the witches.
I think maybe they're from that other galaxy.
Other galaxy.
And maybe there's some other ones there that maybe Thrawn is maybe teaming up with. Something related.
That would
something
be pretty
along
cool
those
if Thrawn
lines.
came back and he's going, I got an army of space witches. Watch out.
Now, I don't think he would have a whole army because I think that's a little bit.
No, that's too expensive. You would have like 5 or 6.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like in terms of the scale of the show, I don't think that that's really possible.
That would be a movie level threat.
Yeah, that would be a.
Now.
That would be I conjured spaceships on Exegol.
Now.
And they're all Death Stars.
They're doing a movie, though. Okay, I would accept. They're both equally dumb, but I would accept I found. Because, like, at least the witches are established.
Yeah.
And, like, not, like.
Hey, I
Emperor
have this
Palpatine-
Sith Wayfinder
Emperor
that no one's
Palpatine-
ever mentioned.
Emperor Palpatine using force magic to physically create a billion gajillion spaceships out of nothing.
Which we have never
It's
ever
more of
seen.
a
There's
stretch
zero
than
precedent for.
Which is more of a stretch than Thrawn, while stranded out in the middle of nowhere, met a bunch of weirdos with magic powers, and he's going to help recruit them for his cause.
Who we, at this point, know.
Have already met.
Have at least been in contact
Yeah.
with characters
You've
with
seen
weird
several
powers in this
times.
universe or this galaxy. I
like that. See, that's an evil Thrawn master plan.
I really do like the idea of the Dathomir witches being from another galaxy.
I would
because
explain why they're so weird.
That explains so well why their connection to the Force is so different from everyone else.
We were talking about it. Remember when we pitched our version of our Star Wars sequel idea? We were saying
yeah, it's similar to what I said.
Different relationship with the Force.
Yeah. Very cool.
Very cool.
Interesting.
Interesting idea, Mr. Filoni. If that's where they're going.
Yeah,
Watch them never mention it again.
That's what I'm saying. Like we're kind of going out on a pretty big limb here. Like we're connecting a lot of ideas that may or may not be where they're going. But if they wanted to go this way, they have connected the dots in the right way.
The show is obviously going to delve into like weird force magic because they're doing the world between worlds again.
Yeah.
So I think they're gonna do more of that.
Do you think?
So I think that makes.
Do you think
if
Ahsoka?
they're gonna do it somewhere, it's gonna be in this.
Do you think Ahsoka's gonna use the world between worlds to just like fast travel to where Ezra is?
I think she's gonna use it to talk to Ezra, and I think Ezra's gonna give her like a secret code that has like coordinates to where he is, and I think when she comes back from the world
Because
between
they still
worlds,
even if
hold up, when she comes back from the world between worlds, and Sabine and Hera are like, we don't know what's going on. She's gonna show up at the end of that episode, of the next episode, and be like, I know where to get at.
yeah, but they don't have a hyperdrive big enough.
They could figure it
I'm thinking they use the Purgles probably to get there. That's my assumption. We know that the Purgles can go there because they got there the
out. Hi,
first.
dog. Yeah, that's probably what they'll do. Yeah,
So
that's the big whales.
My guess is that that's what they're gonna do.
Sabine will.
However,
Oh no, Sabine's not there.
Do you think Ahsoka, like by herself, will fast travel there?
I think that would be a
we know
a little bit of a cheap get out of jail free card.
Yeah, but that's literally what the World Between Worlds is. It's a get out of jail free card. It is the most get out of jail free card in the Star Wars universe. Because keep in mind now, Ahsoka,
all time travel and everything is a get out of jail free card.
Ahsoka has now died twice and been saved by the World Between Worlds.
Well, we don't know if she did this time.
I don't think she died. I don't think she died fell into the World Between Worlds.
I think she's like in like a.
But my point is, this is the second time where she would have died, but was thrown into a magic portal
for
instead.
some reason. Anakin, you know what? I bet you the World Between Worlds is where all those Force ghosts hang out when they're not summoning lightning to shoot the trees.
No, obviously, I think that's like very blatant.
Think of all the dead characters who could make cameos. Think about the
potential. See, okay,
a million Club Crappos.
This is kind of why I am okay with the World Between Worlds, is because in she's fine. I'm just relax. In the World Between, like in Star Wars, even before the World Between Worlds was a thing, we've had characters use the Force to talk across space and time.
Yes,
that's a thing that happens all the time.
We did in The Last Jedi.
The way that I understand the World Between Worlds in Star Wars is that the World Between Worlds is everywhere all the time.
Yeah, it exists outside of space and time.
Yeah, that is the physical space that those Force voices are coming from.
Spiritual realm.
Yeah, that's like, so for example, if I was in Star Wars world and I start hearing Obi-Wan talking to me, spatially, he is in the World Between Worlds next to where I am. Even though in the Star Wars galaxy, he might not be there. He might be dead already.
Door.
You understand? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think it's there's probably people who don't like the World Between Worlds. I have no problem with it. Every science fiction franchise does time travel at some point.
It's not even time travel.
So I honestly credit Star Wars for taking this along to do it.
I don't see it as time travel. I just see it as it's like the Speed Force in the flat. Like it's there already.
But what is the Speed Force mostly used for?
Well, no, Barry time travels, but he's not time traveling through the Speed Force. The Speed Force is already there. You see what I'm saying? Like when Barry goes to the past, the Speed Force is already there. He's not traveling. Sometimes it depends on the version of the Flash.
But the World Between Worlds is everywhere. So
the World Between Worlds
is time travel. They're using it in all the time.
But they only did that one time, so I'm okay.
Anyway, it's fine. It's time travel doors. That's what it is. It's the ghost realm where the time travel doors are.
See, I'm very mega spoilers now. I guess I'm very.
Can't wait for Anakin to give a pep talk.
Very interested to see in how they handle that.
I'm interested to see how they get themselves out of not just saving every character from death.
How does Ahsoka not just go, Anakin? Don't turn evil, Anakin! Like, why would she not do that?
How do they not just, like, grab person from door?
See, I don't think they have control over that.
What do you mean they don't have control?
I don't think a Jedi can go in there and be like, I want a door to this place. I don't think they can do that.
They do say in Rebels that when they pull them out from the World Between Worlds, from somewhere in time, they return to where they were, like, in time at that point.
Yeah.
So, like, Ahsoka, in Rebels, when Ezra pulls Ahsoka out from the Sith temple collapsing, when they then leave the World Between Worlds, Ahsoka returns to, like, right after the temple.
Yeah, and because again, we've rewatched this episode several times because we've had this debate several times.
And it's a very good episode.
In the episode where she fights Darth Vader, at the end, she is seen walking out of the temple. So she survived regardless of the world. Before that was introduced.
No. She survived because of the World Between Worlds. We just
we
didn't
know that
how
now.
I mean, that's how.
But we had already seen her survive before we knew that was a thing. So
they never explained what she was doing all those years during Rebels, where she just didn't bother to.
That's another reason why I'm okay with the World Between Worlds, because they don't have control over it. Like Ezra can't go in there.
Yeah, they can't just be like, take me to 1972.
Yeah, because again,
as far as we know,
it's the will of the Force thing.
It's probably controlled by the wills.
The will of the Force opens doors where they need to be in my brain. So in my brain, here's how it works: is that was always going to happen because the Force wanted it to happen. So that door was exactly where it needed to be when it needed to be there. and for a specific purpose.
And it shows
but the
you
Force is
whatever
already
Force
predetermined.
Ghost. It shows you whatever Force Ghost needs to give you a pep talk.
Exactly, because then they did that when Ezra first got there.
I love how Twitter was like, "Oh my gosh, Hayden Christensen's back as Anakin." I'm like, he was in a show last year, guys.
You mean like when he was already back as Anakin?
He was in
like
Obi-Wan
not that
like
long ago?
several times.
Okay, here's a question I have. Why is
he's
why is
looking
he
good.
so much more fake in this than he was when he was significantly younger in the Obi-Wan show?
What do you mean?
He's like
He
way
looks
more
fake.
deep faked.
You think? I don't think he
Did you see his face? He looked like a Skyrim NPC.
I thought he looked normal.
I'm not saying he looks bad, but like he definitely.
It's probably just the
They
lighting.
definitely got a little bit of Snapchat.
It's
filter
like a
going.
big blue screen room, and he's wearing a
It's
wig.
just the way his eyes blinked. I was like, that's a fake looking.
I don't
blink.
think they de-aged him because there's no reason to at this point.
They
he's
did
already-
a little bit.
But he's already dead, so he can just be a ghost at whatever.
Well, I
age he
know, but
wants.
I know that they de-aged. You can see. It's not super heavy. It's not as
So-
much as they did for like Hayden Christensen, but they did
Sam Anakin
or not
is Sam
for
Christensen.
when they did Luke Skywalker and Mandalorian.
Well, that's because that was a fake guy.
That's what I'm saying. It's not nearly to that extent.
Hayden
But
Christensen is very obviously.
it is
like,
a little. They
there.
got some like digital makeup on him. Is what it,
Yeah, I'm going to the episode.
we're going to. We're doing a deep. We're going in.
Let me exhibit A.
We're going. Do you want this pie?
What is that pie?
McDonald's messed up my order real bad, and so they gave me a
Ugh,
pie.
that looks gross.
I think it's Oreo.
They make Oreo flavored
Oh,
pies.
that actually.
Don't eat that.
We'll try
no,
it. We'll try
no. Okay.
Yep.
I'm examining the evidence.
That's
I
an
think
Oreo
he
pie.
does look a little fake, but I think it might just be because he's in so much makeup and the lighting is so weird.
Yeah, I don't like that. Too slimy.
That might be cleaning him up a little bit. But Hayden Christensen looks pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they did
I
it a
don't
lot,
think
but there
they
is
did
some
much.
digital makeup on him. Like you can tell it's a little smooth.
But again, I think that might just be the makeup and the way.
I think I need to see more of it, but I think he looks a little smooth.
Yeah. Anyway, but in terms of the visual effects on this show in general, on this episode, that fight with her and Balin's skull.
That's so cool. Such a
Never
good fight.
more have I felt trapped in the volume than that one scene.
Okay, to be fair though,
You can see the line on the floor. The like place they're fighting is conveniently a big circle with a bunch of pointy rocks in it.
It was a big sphere. That's
Yes,
so it's fine, it's
conveniently. You can literally see the line in the ground where like the video wall starts.
okay.
I think I figured out. Okay,
But the fight
Okay,
is so cool.
we complain about the volume a lot, and one, I want to clarify what the volume is to people who don't know what we're talking about, who think we're talking about sound. So the way they film these Star Wars shows and a lot of the Marvel shows too now, and even some movies, is that
and also game.
there is a big sound stage that is nicknamed the volume. It's actually called a light screen or something like
And
that.
there are more than one of them. Different
It's a-
studios have different ones.
It's
at
a
this
big
point.
video wall, so it's
It's a big screen that
it's a
goes
big
behind
screen
it.
that goes around 360 degrees. It's just a screen. And so what they do to keep these shows on a low budget is instead of green screening everything, they use video game software to generate backgrounds that are in real time to the actors. And so
And it oftentimes does look better.
it oftentimes looks pretty good and it's not noticeable. And I think I figured out what my problem is with it. Is that the forest scene, right? The forest fight, that's also filmed on the volume. That works.
because it feels bigger.
Well, it works because there's trees in the background with different depth of field.
Yeah, you can see past.
So there is a sense of like something is back there.
There's an illusion to it.
Yes. It's when they're fighting on that cliff and it's just like empty space with ocean and it's just like a bunch of
It
negative,
feels more
It's
flat.
just negative space.
Yeah.
Then it feels like a wall because it is a wall. You can feel the wall like
Yeah.
it feels like claustrophobic, like they're boxed in.
There's no objects in the. There's no sense of
There's
depth because there's
there's
nothing
no
behind
depth
them.
at all. It's just like it feels like someone painted their bedroom like a gray.
Which
and it's pretending
I
it's a
think
wall.
I was okay with it because they were in like that map dome, so that kind of obscures the background anyway. So they were already trapped in a
Yeah.
sphere to begin
Just
with.
it's the fact that they can't ever bring the camera back that like
Yeah.
it makes me feel like just
Now there are other.
let me see that wide shot. Just let me see the wide shot of the lightsaber swinging. It'll bring me so much more into like there being a sense of place
Yeah,
here.
there are other volume stages,
That
like
are-
the one that they use for House of the Dragon, that are much bigger and much. You can do more in them. Like the one that they
Yeah.
use for House of the Dragon was actually a circle. And it had like a ceiling on top of it that blasted lighting that was the same color as the backgrounds. So you could back the camera out a lot more because it was a circle. So you can get basically to the perimeter of the circle, and then you still have all of that is now converting into a wide angle shot that is via, the rendering software that they're using already converts to the perspective of the camera to make it look natural.
Yeah.
You can get what looks like a much wider shot out of still a volume stage. But because I think the Star Wars shows are still using the first one, which is just the half circle wall.
I think they're all just shooting kind of limiting on that first one. Yeah. Anyway, that was the only thing I didn't like in terms of like the story and the pacing, and I thought the characters. Balin the Skull is pretty interesting.
He's really cool.
I'm interested to see what they do with him, and see kind of like what his whole deal is. He obviously has an ulterior motive.
He's got other stuff going on. He wants something.
I think he's gonna be like he wants the Empire to come back so that the Empire and the Republic just like kill each other. And then he wants to start like his own version of the Jedi Order to like.
It's not very clear. It's not very clear what.
This is my theory based on not a whole lot, but I think like that's his. Like I don't think he wants to bring Thrawn back so like Thrawn will rule the galaxy. I think he wants to bring Thrawn back so that the Empire remnants and the Republic will just like burn each other out, and he'll just like manage to like build his own order in the aftermath.
Because when Morgan first mentions the other galaxy, he's like, "Oh, there were fairy tales about it in the Jedi Order, but no one ever believed they were real." So like.
These people are saying,
at least as far as we know, he didn't have any knowledge of this place until
now. I don't think his plan has to do with the other galaxy.
When he's in private with his Padawan, she asks him, what's out there? Why are we doing this? And he goes, there's power that you couldn't even imagine out there. So there's something. He knows that there's something out there.
Magic glowing force orb.
So I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay. Yeah, that's Ahsoka episodes 3 and 4.
What if it's
next episode? We'll talk about episode 5.
Abeloth is out there.
I don't know.
Think they would ever even touch that?
I don't remember. Oh, that big. Oh, that was a whole episode.
As a whole thing.
And we got into that before. Let's not get into it again.
It's a space demon.
Same if it's a. Oh, did you see Sam Witwer says he's in this show?
He is credited in every episode.
He's voicing the guy in the suit, right?
We don't know because his voice actor is not.
He says he's like in it in person though. He said something recently that.
You know who he also played? Who he's played in canon?
Palpatine. He voiced Palpatine in the cartoon. He's also voiced Maul in the cartoon.
What else did he?
Maul. Another one?
Very minor. You probably forgot.
Yeah, I don't remember.
He was one of the Padawans.
Yeah, no, they're not bringing him.
He was he was like the main one. Remember the one with the blue lightsaber?
I can tell you, they're not going to do that.
Rocky.
They're not going to. That would be that'd be just like a what? What kind of reveal would that be?
It wouldn't be. Not everything has to be
like
a reveal.
The second worst arc in Clone Wars is the Padawan arc.
Yeah, but they did Gungi or whatever his name is in Bad Batch.
They did in Bad Batch, but he was the cool one.
Yeah. So what about the dumb one?
No one cares about the lame one.
He could be in it.
I'd be glad he died. They could bring back the droids though. If they brought all the droids back from the droid episode, I would clap. I'd clap in my seat.
I hate
if they brought back the little annoying frog guy.
I hope he died. That guy sucked. He was such a dumb character.
That was George Lucas's favorite arc in all of Clone Wars.
Of course it was, because George Lucas does not know what makes Star Wars.
He liked it because he
for such a visionary individual. His idea of what makes Star Wars interesting is so
he liked it because it was like THX 1138, which was like his student film. They're very similar, that they're like slow and ponderous.
Yeah, it was probably very boring. That's okay, cool.
Imagine if Star Wars was owned by Disney at that point and they had to pitch to like the Disney studio executives a 4-episode.
They would have cut that.
100%. Well, they would have had to been like, okay, so
that was the 100th episode, and it sucked. We're gonna have so bad.
To be fair, it was the best episode of the arc. But anyway, imagine,
because it's the only one where anything happened, and even what happened was so lame. They go to a 1950s diner. A clone is a janitor there for no reason. He remembers that he's cool, blows up the diner, and then
he blows up
someone comes and picks them up, and they leave. That's it.
No, Now I don't remember what I was gonna say. Just imagine like you're pitching to like an executive, like, okay, our children's cartoon show, we're gonna do 4 episodes where a bunch of non-human characters who can't speak are gonna roll slowly through an empty field.
With a frogman.
Frogman.
Not even voiced by Danny DeVito.
No, I'm not. I don't know who did voice it. Anyway, that's this week's
That sounds
episode.
awesome. That's what I want.
Next on the second episode of season 4, we're going to slowly walk through a void, pondering the meaning of life.
And we're gonna go beep boop beep boop beep boop.
But we're not
and
gonna
then
talk.
We're gonna have
It's
a
gonna
frog.
all be.
We're gonna revive Kermit the Frog from the Karate Steve universe.
Yep.
And he's gonna go, guys,
gonna
we
cut a
gotta find the guy.
We're gonna cut a hole in Max's head, and Kermit the Frog is gonna pilot Max around from his own skull.
Yep.
This is a good idea. Anyway, we will be back next week to talk about some movie or show.
Probably the next Ahsoka episode.
Is it
at
The
least.
Nun 2? Will we see
No,
The
we're
Nun
not
2?
seeing The Nun 2.
Will we see Equalizer 3? A movie
No,
that
why
has
would we
already
see
come out.
Equalizer 3?
Sam is very staunchly against seeing
That's because
these
both
films.
of those movies sound and have been marketed to be very lame.
We'll be back talking about something. You know we will be. It'll be 3 hours long, as always.
Anyways,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.